Chapter 4679. Seeing that Xiao Shou was suppressed by Lin Qianqian, Jun Lingxuan immediately stood up and said, "If you really want to compete, Miss Xiao doesn't need to do it. I will compete on her behalf." Noticing Jun Lingxuan's move, Xiao Shou's eyes flashed with a different light. She suddenly had a better impression of him. Jun Lingxuan naturally did not ignore the change in Xiao Shou's eyes. He was overjoyed. Now his goal was to get Xiao Shou's favor. He was a man of great ambition. He didn't care about appearance, character, and so on. The only thing he cared about was value. As long as the Xiao family was tied to them, the development of the Jun family would be stronger than before. After seeing Jun Lingxuan stand up, Lin Qianqian's eyes also turned cold. I didn't expect the relationship between the Xiao family and the Jun family to be so close now. So what? Jun Lingxuan smiled. What he wanted was to let everyone know that the relationship between the Xiao family and their Jun family was better now. Xiao Shou couldn't help but frown after hearing Jun Lingxuan's words. She instinctively felt that something was wrong, but thinking that Jun Lingxuan had been helping her just now, she put this feeling aside. "Jun Lingxuan, are you bullying my Lin family?" A man also came forward. His outstanding temperament was not weaker than Jun Lingxuan. "Second cousin-in-law, this is my Lin family's eldest brother, Lin Taxing." Lin Yi whispered to Bailey Hongzhuang. People from these forces would meet each other, so everyone was familiar with him. However, second cousin-in-law had just come from the lower realm, and it was her first time participating in such an event. She didn't understand the situation. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. She had heard of the most outstanding child of the Lin family, Lin Taxing. Seeing him today, he was really extraordinary. "Lin Taxing, you are here too." Jun Lingxuan saw Lin Taxing suddenly appear, and there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Not bad. In the face of Jun Lingxuan, Lin Taxing was not weak at all. "If you want to compete, I'll accompany you to the end." The onlookers couldn't help but sigh when they saw the two sides opposing each other. From the looks of it, a fight was unavoidable. However, at this moment, the stall owner's voice suddenly rang out. "Young people, if you want to fight, then fight outside. Don't interfere with my business here." Hearing this voice, Xiao Shou and Jun Lingxuan finally remembered that the most important reason they had come here was for the Radiant Vine. "I can't be bothered to argue with you." Xiao Shou coldly glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, but she had already remembered all of this in her heart. She believed that Bailey Hongzhuang would definitely enter the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. It wouldn't be too late for her to settle all her grudges after entering the Immortal Cloud secret realm. Right now, the most important thing to her was the Radiant Vine. Even though the news that she was about to become the next Saint of the Light has spread, she knew very well that her talents have yet to reach 100%. The seniors of the Light Sacred Assembly were all thinking of ways to help her. Every generation of the Saint of the Light had 100% attribute talent, and she needed to reach at least 99%. Not only could the Radiant Vine increase a cultivator's understanding of attributes, but it could also purify a cultivator's talents. This was a great temptation to her. If her talent index could be raised again, she would no longer need to hold the title of the next generation. Instead, she could become the true Saint of the Light. Chapter 4680. Nothing was more attractive to her than the illuminating vine. Fortunately, the illuminating vine was still here. As Xiao Shou carefully sized up the bright vine, her eyes suddenly lit up, and a look of pleasant surprise flashed in her eyes. She did not expect the stall owner to be so stupid as to sell the illuminating vine without even knowing its age. Previously, she had always wanted the illuminating vine, so she knew a lot about it, including the age of the illuminating vine. The value of the 100-year illuminating vine was already very high, let alone the 1,000-year illuminating vine. Its effect was not as simple as doubling its value. She did not expect her luck to be so good as to see the 1,000-year illuminating vine in the underground market. Otherwise, even she would not have the confidence to obtain it at an auction. That was because the illuminating vine was simply too attractive. Suppressing the ecstasy and excitement in her heart, Xiao Shou said, "Stall owner, what do you think if I exchange these items with you?" Immediately after, a few items appeared in Xiao Sou's hands. Everyone took a closer look, and a covetous look appeared in their eyes. That's the dripping cloud fruit and the evergreen flower. The dripping cloud fruit was the main ingredient for refining the cloud-breaking pill, and it was also very precious. However, it was clearly far inferior to the illuminating vine. However, the effect of the evergreen flower was similar to that of the illuminating vine, except that the evergreen flower was only effective for wood-type cultivators. Xiao Shou had a confident smile on her face. Previously, Jun Lingxuan had already told her that the stall owner was a wood-type cultivator. Therefore, to the stall owner, the evergreen flower was obviously more effective. As expected, the stall owner's eyes lit up when he saw the evergreen flower in Xiao Shou's hands, and his expression fluctuated. Previously, the items that many cultivators had taken out did not cause the stall owner's expression to change at all. His reaction at this moment was clearly tempting. After seeing the evergreen flower and noticing the stall owner's reaction, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately understood. It turned out that Xiao Shou had come prepared. She had already known that the stall owner was a wood-type cultivator. However, although the stall owner's heart was in turmoil, he did not immediately answer Xiao Shou. Seeing this, Xiao Shou could not help but frown. She was a little puzzled. Could it be that these things are not enough? The stall owner pondered for a moment before waving his hand. Xiao Shou's expression immediately turned ugly. To be honest, the value of these two items added together was about the same as the light vine. It was just that the light vine was harder to obtain. At this moment, Jun Lingxuan took out another item. These two items plus the spiritual immortal grass should be enough, right? Hearing that, Xiao Shou looked at Jun Lingxuan in surprise and could not help but ask, "Young Master Jun, this?" The spiritual celestial grass was also a very precious treasure. It could help a cultivator stabilize their cultivation and get rid of pill toxins. It was common knowledge that in the later stages of cultivation, one would inevitably need medicinal pills in order to make a breakthrough. However, taking too many medicinal pills would produce medicinal toxins that would affect the cultivator's potential. The spiritual celestial grass was a treasure that could get rid of pill toxins. Hence, although the spiritual celestial grass could not help in raising one's cultivation, it was still something that cultivators needed. "Miss Xiao, take this as a gift from me to you." Jun Lingxuan smiled gracefully. Chapter 4681. Young Master Jun, thank you very much. Xiao Shou said gratefully, "I will find a way to return it to you after I go back." Jun Lingxuan smiled lightly. "Miss Xiao, you are too polite. I consider myself to be good friends, and this is just a small gift. Why should I take it to heart? Don't tell me. Miss Xiao doesn't think so?" Hearing this, Xiao Shou paused, and then the smile on her face became brighter. Lin Yi on the side couldn't help but snort coldly, "Hypocrite, second cousin-in-law. If this light vine is really obtained by Xiao Shou, it will be troublesome." Lin Yi was a little anxious. If the Xiao family had a good relationship with them, Xiao Shou's promotion would not affect them. But now, the relationship between the Xiao family and the Jun family was so close. If Xiao Shou's identity rose again, it would be a big problem for them. Lin Xianxian's face was also a little gloomy. "We have to find a way to snatch this light vine. It's a pity that we didn't get the news before, and we don't have such valuable treasures on us. If we go back now, it will be too late." Lin Taxing's gaze was deep and complicated. It was not a good thing for their opponent to become stronger. However, it was obviously not easy to stop all of this now, unless they waited for Xiao Shou to get it and then snatched it. But now, many forces in the entire Qishui city had gathered. It was almost impossible to make a move without being targeted. At that time, it would only cause the conflict between the two families to erupt in advance. "Stall owner, these three things should be enough to exchange for your light vine, right?" Xiao Shou said again. The stall owner looked at the three things in front of him, but his expression was still the same as before. "Although these three things are good, but isn't this enough?" Xiao Shou frowned. She knew in her heart that if it was a 100-year light vine, these three things were enough. But if it was a millennium light vine, it was obviously not enough. However, based on the content written on it, the old man should not have recognized the year. In that case, why did he keep refusing? I'm not exchanging. The old man smiled and waved his hand. As soon as he said that, Xiao Sou and Jun Lingshuan's expressions turned ugly. Stall owner, are you messing with us on purpose? Jun Lingshuan's gaze was gloomy, and his low and hoarse voice was filled with threat and displeasure. Could it be that the other party had no intention of exchanging the light vine at all and was deliberately toying with them? If I'm not exchanging, then I'm not exchanging. What does it have to do with you guys? As far as I know, many people have come to exchange for this light vine, but you haven't agreed. Could it be that you want to find out who has what treasure so that you can secretly make a move? Jun Lingshuan had a malicious look in his eyes. From the very beginning, he had felt that this stall owner was very strange. He had taken out too many treasures, but now that so many people had come, he still refused to trade. It was hard to believe that this stall owner did not have ulterior motives. As Jun Lingshuan's voice fell, the gazes of the cultivators present changed. Previously, no one had thought of this. Now that Jun Lingshuan had reminded them, everyone realized that there was indeed such a possibility. If that's really the case, then it's too scary. Who would have thought of that? However, this old man has delayed for so long and still refused to agree. It's indeed a little strange. Chapter 4682. Facing everyone's discussions and speculations, the stall owner didn't care. He just glanced at Jun Lingshuan and Xiao Sou lazily and waved his hand. If you don't want to exchange, just leave. You are hindering my business here. Do you know who we are? Jun Lingshuan's gaze became gloomy. The stall owner in front of him really angered him. If the things he took out were not enough, it would be fine. It was obviously a good deal, but the other party deliberately made things difficult. How could he not be angry? What does it have to do with me who you are? The old man looked cold and waved his hand. Don't talk nonsense in front of me. Go. Being driven away by the stall owner without any mercy, Xiao Sou and Jun Lingshuan both had a trace of annoyance in their eyes. They were also people with status. If they were treated like this, it would be a joke if it was spread out. On the contrary, everyone in the Lin family breathed a sigh of relief after seeing this scene. Looking at this situation, the possibility of the light vine being taken away by Xiao Sou was very small. Just when the dispute was about to erupt, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly said, "Senior, can you understand what I took out?" As the voice of Bailey Hongzhuang fell, everyone was stunned. They did not expect that at this critical moment, there would be someone who would rush out and touch the bad luck. The most important thing was that this person was Bailey Hongzhuang, who had a conflict with Xiao Sou before. This was really a good show. Xiao Sou sneered on the spot. You? What kind of treasure can a person from the lower realm take out? I advise you not to embarrass yourself here. Not only Xiao Sou, but Lin Yi and others were also stunned when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly stood up. The stall owner was obviously unwilling to exchange anything. If Bailey Hongzhuang didn't stand up, Xiao Sou and others would have become a joke. But now that Bailey Hongzhuang stood up, it was equivalent to having another person as a scapegoat. Lin Qianqian and Lin Taxing looked at each other and couldn't help frowning. They already knew about this Bailey Hongzhuang from the family master, but they didn't expect her to act so rashly. It was somewhat inconsistent with the situation they learned before. The stall owner looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with interest and said, "Little girl, what do you want to exchange with me? The things I take out will definitely be what you want." Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a confident smile. Hearing this, the stall owner was slightly taken aback. Then he chuckled, "I haven't even thought about what I want. How can you be sure that the thing you take out must be what I want?" "Yes, take it out and show it to me." Under everyone's expectant gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a pen and paper and wrote the content on the paper. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but sneer. I thought she would take out some treasure. She just wrote a few words on this paper. Is it possible to exchange it? Isn't this a joke? I think this woman is also trying to please the crowd with claptrap. What good thing can a woman from the lower realm have? Lin Yi couldn't help but pull Bailey Hongzhuang's sleeve and reminded, "Second cousin-in-law, don't worry. Bailey Hongzhuang returned a smile, but she did not stop her actions. Chapter 4683. Faced with the stall owner's doubts, Bailey Hongzhuang was extremely calm. Senior, don't be anxious. You can take a look first. If you don't agree, at most we won't make this deal. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's confident and certain look, the stall owner took the slip of paper in half disbelief. After he had finished reading the contents of the slip of paper, his gaze suddenly changed. Is what you've written true? Bailey Hongzhuang gently nodded. Of course it's true. Do you know the meaning of what you've written? The stall owner put away his lazy look, and his gaze became serious and deep. Stall owner, don't worry. Since I've written it, it must be true. Besides, I'm a member of the D family. The monk can run away, but the temple can't run away. I definitely won't lie to you about this kind of thing. Her devastatingly beautiful face was shrouded in a confident glow. Her rosy lips gently raised into an elegant and beautiful smile. Bailey Hongzhuang only stood there quietly, but she was like a bright pearl emitting a dazzling radiance. The stall owner fixed his gaze on Bailey Hongzhuang and said, "All right, I'll make this deal." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile widened. She had always been confident that as long as she mentioned it, the stall owner would definitely agree. Compared to Bailey Hongzhuang's indifference, everyone present was dumbfounded, especially Jun Lingxuan. Previously, he had said that this stall owner had set up a stall here as a cover and that he didn't really want to make an exchange. However, in the blink of an eye, the stall owner had completed the deal with Bailey Hongzhuang. Wasn't this a slap in the face? Furthermore, the slap in the face was so swift that it made him feel a burning pain. His heart was extremely gloomy. Why didn't Bailey Hongzhuang mention the deal earlier? At least he wouldn't have been slapped in the face on the spot. Xiao Sou's face was filled with disbelief. She had just said that Bailey Hongzhuang, a person from the lower realm, would never be able to take out any treasures. However, in the blink of an eye, that stall owner who had never placed anything in her eyes had agreed without any hesitation. Most importantly, they had not seen Bailey Hongzhuang take out any valuable treasures. She had only written a few words on a piece of paper, and the stall owner had agreed? What kind of character was this? How could it be so valuable? At the same time, Lin Yi and others were dumbfounded. Previously, he thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was being too impulsive because the stall owner's standards were too high. It was impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to take out something that could be exchanged with him. But Bailey Hongzhuang did it, and she did it so easily. Lin Yi's lips twitched slightly. She looked at Lin Qianqian on the side. I seem to have underestimated second cousin-in-law. Lin Qianqian also looked at Lin Taxing. Their judgment just now seemed to be wrong. It seems that the family master's judgment will not be wrong. Lin Taxing said slowly. According to the family master's description, although Bailey Hongzhuang came from the lower realm, her conduct, ability, and even vision were not worse than the cultivators in the upper realm. For this reason, the family master also specifically emphasized not to be arrogant in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. If the other party had lived in the upper realm since she was a child, they would not be Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent. When they first heard this, they still didn't believe it. However, after seeing the scene in front of them, this idea became firm. That was because they couldn't even reach a deal with him. Chapter 4684. You should know that the value of the item you're offering is not low. It's even more valuable than this light vine. Don't you think that you've made a loss in this transaction? The stall owner looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and put away the piece of paper in his hand as he slowly asked. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Senior, I believe that you're very clear about the value of this light vine. If this was only 100-year light vine, the item I'm offering is naturally far more valuable than this. However, this is a 1,000-year light vine, so it's different. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the surrounding cultivators were stunned once again. Then, their eyes lit up as they stared at the light vine. So this light vine was actually a 1,000-year light vine. A 100-year light vine was already very rare. The value of a 1,000-year light vine was even more indescribable. However, the label clearly stated that was a 100-year light vine. Xiao Sou's heart thumped when she heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words. She had thought that she was the only one who had noticed this. She never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would notice it as well. The stall owner chuckled. "Young lady, you're very honest." After receiving the stall owner's reply, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes became even clearer. It seemed that her judgment was not wrong. This stall owner had already recognized the light vine's age. As for why he would do this, she could not understand. Perhaps he really did want to play a trick on her. When the crowd saw that the stall owner had agreed with Bailey Hongzhuang's point of view, they could not help but be dumbfounded. No wonder the stall owner had been unwilling to make the exchange. So this was the crux of the matter. If they were in his shoes, they would definitely not make the exchange unless they were stupid. I never thought that this would actually be a 1,000-year light vine. This is my first time seeing it. Then the value of this light vine is really shocking. I wonder what this young lady from the D family had offered in exchange for the stall owner to agree immediately. I heard that the Xiao family had previously intended to help Xiao Shou find a light vine. Logically speaking, Xiao Shou should be very familiar with the light vine. Do you think she was able to recognize the age of this light vine? As one of the cultivators voiced his doubts, everyone's gaze turned to Xiao Shou. They didn't usually come into contact with the light vine, so it was normal that they couldn't tell its age. However, with Xiao Shou's situation, it was a little unreasonable that they couldn't recognize it. If she recognized it, then the things she took out before were deliberately to take advantage of this stall owner. It would have been fine if no one knew about it, but now that they had Bailey Hongzhuang as a comparison, Xiao Shou was naturally at a disadvantage. Xiao Shou's expression was a little unnatural. She didn't expect that this problem would suddenly involve her. If he said that he did not recognize her, it meant that he admitted that his knowledge was not as good as Bailey Hongzhuang's. If he said that he recognized it, then it would be true that he had taken advantage of her. No matter which one it was, she was not willing to admit it. Therefore, she could only remain silent for the time being. Linny couldn't help but chuckle. "Xiao Shou, weren't you very arrogant before? Looking at it, you don't seem to be as good as my second cousin-in-law from the lower realm." Linny also emphasized the words lower realm, but the effect at the moment was the opposite. The sarcasm was stronger. Chapter 4685. With her status, what good things could she possibly take out? Be careful that she doesn't reveal the secrets of the D family. Otherwise, what could compare to this millennium illuminating vine? Xiao Shou was indeed shocked for a moment. However, after thinking about it carefully, she was certain that Bailey Hongzhuang could not possibly take out anything valuable. Therefore, the only possibility was that this item came from the D family. Although I'm from the lower realm, I have one good thing about me. That is, I won't take out my family's things for my own benefit, Bailey Hongzhuang said calmly. Xiao Shou's face sank when she heard this. She was so angry that she was about to go crazy. She really wanted to know what Bailey Hongzhuang had taken out in exchange. However, she could not figure it out no matter how hard she tried. "Little girl, I like honest people. If you can really do what you've said, I'll give you everything I have here. Just like how you won't take advantage of me, an old man like me won't take advantage of you either." The stall owner looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with admiration and excitement in his eyes. In fact, he could not help but feel excited when he saw the contents of the slip of paper. It was only because he forcefully suppressed his emotions that he did not lose his composure in front of everyone. Although he also doubted whether Bailey Hongzhuang was telling the truth, judging from Bailey Hongzhuang's current performance, he still believed her. Compared to Xiao Shou and the others, this little girl was more reliable. He had met many people, but Bailey Hongzhuang had a calm and collected aura. More importantly, she had a clear conscience. The stall owner's words were no different from a heavy bomb exploding in everyone's hearts. They had already found it hard to accept when they had taken away the millennium illuminating vine. Now, the stall owner was actually saying that he wanted to give everything to Bailey Hongzhuang. One must know that the treasures here were all extremely precious. Every single one of them had been painstakingly exchanged for. Now he was actually giving everything to Bailey Hongzhuang. This was simply too crazy. The more it was like this, the more everyone was curious about what Bailey Hongzhuang had to offer in exchange. Since Bailey Hongzhuang's things could be exchanged for so many things, it meant that her things were worth more. Xiao Shou and the others felt that the stall owner was crazy. If he wasn't crazy, he wouldn't have made such a choice. Senior, the item I took out is actually not that valuable. Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but say. However, the stall owner waved his hand. Perhaps your item isn't that valuable, but in my eyes, it's worth it. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled, but she immediately understood what the stall owner meant. The next moment, she took out a pen and paper and started writing again. But this time, the content she wrote was much more than the last time. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang handed it over to the stall owner. Senior, the content is all here. If you have any questions, you can look for me at the D family's pill shop. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled gently. The stall owner took the slip of paper and read it. The look in his eyes changed slightly. He then rolled up the items on the stall and handed them over to Bailey Hongzhuang. Little girl, I believe in you. All right, today's business is done. You may all disperse. I'm leaving as well. Just as he finished speaking, the stall owner walked out of the crowd suavely and quickly disappeared. Let's go as well. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled gently. Chapter 4686. Lin Qianqian and Lin Taxing looked at each other. Such a result was really beyond their expectations. For a time, everyone's covetous eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. She had too many treasures on her now. Noticing this, Lin Taxing immediately said, "Let's go back first." They were now being targeted by so many people. Although the underground market was relatively safe, the treasures were too coveted, so no one could say what would happen. Therefore, the best way now was to go back immediately. In this way, at least many people could dispel their thoughts. Originally, Linny wanted to ask Bailey Hongzhuang what she exchanged for. Why did she exchange so many treasures with just a few words? But now, after Lin Taxing's reminder, she realized that their current situation was not very good. In the next moment, everyone in the Lin family tacitly surrounded Bailey Hongzhuang and left the underground market without hesitation. Although everyone was envious, they also understood that the Lin family and the D family were behemoths that they could not afford to offend. Despite the burning desire in their hearts, the facts calmed them down. It was obviously not a good deal to suffer a calamity for this treasure. Ordinary cultivators naturally had such concerns, but Xiao Shou and Jun Lingshuan obviously did not. Xiao Shou was determined to get this millennium illuminating vine. Naturally, she could not watch Bailey Hongzhuang take it away. After all, this was her biggest hope. Whether she could secure the position of the Holy Maiden of Light depended on the illuminating vine. Jun Lingshuan naturally knew Xiao Shou's thoughts. The two looked at each other and immediately chased after her. After walking out of the underground market, everyone in the Lin family did not relax their vigilance. They still went back at the fastest speed. Fortunately, this underground market is not far from our D family. Let's go there quickly. Lin Taxing looked dignified. In my opinion, Xiao Shou will not give up. The illuminating vine is too useful for her now. Even if she won't give up, so what? Lin Qianqian's eyes were cold. Now that the Xiao family and the Jun family are so close, they're likely to become our enemies in the future. In any case, this illuminating vine must not fall into the hands of Xiao Shou. Once she becomes the Holy Maiden of Light, it will not benefit us. Lin Taxing's gaze fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang, when you go back later, go into seclusion. Don't worry about anything else. As long as you absorb the energy of the illuminating vine, it will be useless even if Xiao Shou's people. He was sure that Xiao Sei would invite the elders of her family over as soon as possible. After all, the Xiao family and the D family had not completely fallen out with each other. If the elders of the Xiao family were to appear, the D family would be put in a very difficult position. However, if the illuminating vine had been consumed, then the situation would be different. The D family would not be put in a difficult position because of this. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded without hesitation. I understand. In fact, her thoughts were the same as Lin Taxing's. The longer the illuminating vine was kept, the greater the trouble. She believed that it would not take long for this news to spread and everyone would know about it. Therefore, the only way was to use it. Chapter 4687. The fact was just as Lin Taxing expected. Although Xiao So was extremely unwilling, she did not dare to snatch it directly. After all, she did not represent herself at this moment, but also the entire family. If she snatched something from the D family in public, it would really be a falling out. Even though she had a high status in the family, she could not bear this kind of thing. Therefore, she rushed back to the Xiao family's residence immediately. She wanted to find an elder to represent her. She believed that in her current situation, the family would definitely try their best to help her get the illuminating vine. Once she became the Lady of Light, it would bring a lot of benefits to the family. It was not until Bailey Hongzhuang and her party returned safely to the medicinal shop that everyone breathed a sigh of relief. "Go ahead," Lin Taxing said. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and walked in without hesitation. Di Chiyuan saw that Bailey Hongzhuang left in a hurry as soon as she came back, and a trace of doubt appeared in his eyes. When he saw Lin Yi and others looking nervous, he couldn't help but ask, "What happened?" "Great Elder, I'm afraid there will be some trouble that requires your help later," Lin Taxing said. Di Chiyuan had a puzzled look, and his expression became complicated. "Did you get into trouble outside?" "No." Lin Xianxian shook her head, and then told Di Chiyuan everything that happened before. However, Di Chiyuan was stunned after listening to all this. "You mean that the second young madam just wrote a few words and got the illuminating vine?" "Great Elder, I know you think it's incredible. In fact, we all think so, but all of this is true. We didn't lie to you." Lin Yi couldn't help but explain. Di Chiyuan really felt that this matter was unbelievable, but he also understood that it was impossible for everyone to lie to him about this kind of thing. As the great elder of the D family, he naturally knew that the most important thing at the moment was not to study how Bailey Hongzhuang did all this, but to come up with countermeasures. "Taxing, go back and invite Great Elder Lin over." "Yes." Di Chiyuan's expression was solemn. According to the younger generation, Xiao Sou and Jun Lingxuan were very close. Perhaps the elders of the Xiao family and the Jun family would come together later. If a fight broke out, he might not be a match for them alone. It would be safer if the first elder of the Lin clan came. Bailey Hongzhuang walked into the house and began to eat the light vine. The light vine was a very magical plant that could be eaten directly. The energy inside was in the form of a liquid and was very gentle. It was not harmful to the cultivator. Bailey Hongzhuang only felt a sweet energy flow into her mouth. This energy was extremely pure and exuded a dense aura of light. As the energy entered her body, she could clearly feel the joy of the light energy in her body. The energy gradually spread out, and the light energy rapidly grew as if it was being nourished. In a short period of time, Bailey Hongzhuang found herself on the verge of a breakthrough. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but sigh. Sure enough, it's the illuminating vine. The effect is amazing. I thought it would take some time for me to break through again. I didn't expect to break through immediately after eating the illuminating vine. Chapter 4688. After absorbing the power of the light vine, Bailey Hongzhuang quickly broke through to the Starlight Fourth Order. Since she went to the D family, her cultivation had been growing rapidly in the rich vitality environment. In a short time, she had broken through from the Starlight Realm to the Starlight Realm. However, as she adapted to the rich vitality environment, her cultivation speed gradually stabilized. For the upcoming Immortal Cloud Secret Realm, everyone was working hard to cultivate in order to get good opportunities in the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm. Similarly, everyone knew in their hearts that they were obviously several levels weaker than the children of these aristocratic families. Even if they were desperately chasing now, there was too little time left for them. They could only do their best. Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to try her best to break through to the Starlight Fourth Order before entering the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm. She didn't expect to reach it not long after coming to Qishui City. With the breakthrough in cultivation, the power of the light vine was still exuding. Bailey Hongzhuang clearly felt that the light power in her body had been cleansed by the light vine. Originally, her light power was already very pure. At this moment, after being cleansed, It exuded a bright and charming luster, shining like a star. One could feel the sacred and warm aura just by getting close. Bailey Hongzhuang secretly exclaimed in her heart, "It is indeed a 1,000-year-old light vine. It is really helpful to light attribute cultivators." Even if her cultivation didn't break through, the change in power alone could improve her combat power by a level. Lin Qianqian and others had been staying in the medicinal shop. After feeling the aura of Bailey Hongzhuang's breakthrough, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and a smile appeared on their faces. The power of the light vine had been absorbed. Even if the people of the Xiao family came, it would be useless. When Di Beichen and others came back, they found that all the young children of the Lin family were gathered here. A hint of surprise suddenly appeared on their faces. "What's wrong with you? Did something happen?" Di Xiaofeng looked at Lin Qianqian. His intuition told him that they were not here to play. "Big cousin, you are finally back." Lin Yi was happy as soon as she saw Di Xiaofeng. "I went out with my second cousin-in-law just now. As a result, we made a lot of noise. Fortunately, my sister found us. Otherwise, it would be difficult for us to come back safely." Listening to Lin Yi's words, a hint of nervousness suddenly appeared on Di Beichen's face. "How is Hong Zhuang?" "Second cousin, don't worry. Nothing happened. Second cousin-in-law is fine." Di Beichen was relieved when he heard the words. Immediately afterward, Lin Yi told him what happened before. After listening to all this, in addition to Di Beichen, Di Xiaofeng and the others' faces were also full of astonishment. "Sister-in-law is so powerful." Di Xiaofeng was dumbfounded. They all knew the value of the Millennium Illuminating Vine. Even if he was present, he wouldn't be able to exchange for it. Lin Yi nodded again and again. "Yes, I found that second cousin-in-law is actually very powerful. Previously, even when facing Xiao Sou, she was not at a disadvantage at all. That momentum, TSK, I'm convinced." Not only Lin Yi, but Lin Qianqian on the side also nodded secretly. She was also convinced about this. "Is Hong Zhuang taking the illuminating vine now?" Di Beichen asked aloud. Chapter 4689. I didn't expect Xiao Sou to be together with Jun Lingxuan in the blink of an eye. Looks like we have to make some preparations. Di Xiaofeng's expression darkened. Originally, according to the patriarch's plan, although the Xiao family would definitely be dissatisfied with the cancellation of the marriage, as long as they spent a certain amount of time and resources, it was still possible to make up for this relationship. However, he didn't expect that the Xiao family and the Jun family would ally together. This relationship would probably be irreparable. That's right. According to what I saw today, Jun Lingxuan is probably pursuing Xiao Sou, and Xiao Sou didn't reject Jun Lingxuan. If this situation continues, the Xiao family and the Jun family might ally together in the future, which would be a big problem for us. Lin Qianqian's expression darkened. The Lin family and the Di family were originally on the same side. If the other party targeted the Di family, they would naturally target the Lin family as well. "You all did well today. It's good that the light vine didn't fall into Xiao Sou's hands," Di Zhuai said slowly. Di Zhize said slowly. Although he was somewhat dissatisfied with Di Beichen's previous choice, the matter had already reached this point. He could only minimize the loss. The news that Xiao Sou is going to take over the position of the Holy Maiden has been spreading for a long time, but until now, she hasn't really taken over. I heard that the light vine has the ability to purify talents. Could it be that she can't directly become the Lady of Light? Di Xiaofeng suddenly said. Regarding this, he actually had doubts in his heart for a long time. He wasn't the only one. Many people had such guesses in their hearts because this rumor had been spreading for too long. If the previous Holy Maiden was still around, Xiao Sou wouldn't be a problem. However, the Holy Maiden hadn't appeared for a long time. Logically speaking, if someone was qualified for this position, the Holy Assembly would immediately push her to the position. There must be something wrong with not having a successor for so long. Following Di Xiaofeng's words, Lin Qianqian and the others also had a thoughtful look in their eyes. Yes, in fact, I also suspect that there might be some problems. If it was before, it would be fine. Now that the Xiao family and the Jun family are connected, it is best for us that Xiao Shou can't become the holy maiden of light, said Daiheoan. The great elder also felt helpless about the news that the Xiao family and Jun family were together. He didn't expect the Xiao family to make such a choice. In fact, the great elder's eyes. He didn't expect Xiao family to do this. Of the great, he couldn't help but be angry. Until Di Chuan left, Lin Yi couldn't help but ask, "Big cousin, where did you go today?" Don't mention it. Di Zhai's face was gloomy. As soon as I went out, I met those annoying guys from the Jun family. I don't know if they were targeting us specifically. We bumped into them not long after going out. Chapter 4690. Now we are indeed in trouble. Daiheoan sighed. He didn't expect to encounter such a situation after going out today. He couldn't help but look at Di Beichun helplessly. Beichun, you are a little too impulsive today. Daiheoan's face was also gloomy and complicated. You shouldn't have agreed to this bet at all. This is simply a losing game. However, Di Beichun just remained silent. His handsome face faintly showed a bit of anger. Forget it. Since this has already happened, then let's not bother about it anymore, said Di Xiaofeng. Lin Qianqian frowned slightly. What happened? Why are your faces so solemn? We met the Jun family before. They have been making a fuss about us not being able to invite an 8th grade alchemist this time. Their words were full of ridicule. Di Beichun was dissatisfied, so he argued with them for a while. As a result, they made a bet. If we get fewer slots than them in this alchemy competition, then we will give all the family slots to them. On the contrary, they will give all the slots to us. Daiheoan explained aloud. As soon as these words came out, Lin Yi and others couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Second cousin, are you crazy? Lin Yi looked at Di Beichun in disbelief. Originally, the Di family only had 5 slots. If they don't even have these 5 slots, what should they do? In the current situation, this was a dead end. It was easy to give out 5 slots, but if they wanted to get 5 slots from other places, they would have to pay a huge price. The most important thing was that the slots were so tight. Even if they were willing to exchange something, the other party might not agree. Lin Qianqian also felt incredulous. You actually agreed to such a bet? Di Xiaofeng sighed helplessly. You saw the situation at that time. If you don't agree, it is equivalent to admitting that we are all cowards. Seeing this, Lin Qianqian glanced at Di Beichun and others speechlessly. I really don't understand why you men are so prideful. The final interest is the most important. The Jun family managed to invite Medicine Master Qin this time, so it's inevitable that they'll get spot. On the other hand, whether it's you or us, none of us are a match for them. We were already at a disadvantage, and now we're completely finished. Just as everyone was gloomy, Di Beichun and Di Xiaofeng exchanged a look with each other. There was no depression in their eyes. On the contrary, there was a bit of smile. After leaving the underground market, Jun Lingxuan returned to his family. Although he had failed to help Xiao Shou obtain the light vine, he had made some progress overall. His efforts had not been in vain. As soon as he returned to his residence, he found that his family's disciples were chatting in full swing. Haha, the Di family is really digging their own graves this time. I thought that the successor of the Di family would be someone amazing. I didn't expect him to be such an idiot. He didn't even care about the interests of the Di family in a fit of anger. What a joke. We'll definitely win this time. When we get their 5 slots back, we'll really have a good show to watch. As Jun Lingxuan returned, the great elder of the Jun family, Jun Xianxiao, also appeared. After hearing everyone's discussion, Jun Xianxiao roughly understood the situation, and a smile suddenly appeared on his lips. Chapter 4691. Great Elder, we were just following your instructions, but we didn't expect the Di family's second young master to be so impatient. After being provoked a few times, he agreed. I think they must be regretting it now. Jun Liyun, the second young master of the Jun family, said with a smile. Jun Lingxuan frowned slightly. If it was before, he wouldn't have thought that there was anything wrong with this news. However, after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in the underground market, he suddenly felt that he had underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang. They knew that this was an impossible bet, but they still agreed. Could it be a trap? Jun Lingxuan couldn't help but ask. Hearing this, Jun Liyun hurriedly waved his hand. How is that possible? With the current situation, the D family can't make a comeback. I've been paying attention to the D family's actions recently. Although their people are trying to find a way to contact an 8th grade alchemist, it's impossible to do so at this time. In the past 2 days, they seem to have given up on the idea of finding a 9th grade alchemist. Jun Xuanxiao's lips curled into a proud smile. For so many years, the Jun family had been suppressed by the D family. In order to break this situation, the Jun family had put in a lot of effort over the years. This time, in the Immortal Cloud secret realm, they would crush the D family. He wanted to take away all the D family spots so that none of the D family's cultivators could enter. In this way, he believed that the D family would definitely become a joke. Great Elder, I have something to say, Jun Lingxuan slowly said. Please speak, great young master. Then, Jun Lingxuan told them what happened in the underground market. After hearing this, everyone's hearts were filled with shock. It can't be. That woman from the lower realm actually took out something to exchange for the light vine? Jun Liyun's face was filled with confusion. This was simply unbelievable. Jun Lingxuan looked serious. I was there at the time. I saw everything clearly. It's definitely not fake. Jun Xuanxiao's expression also changed a little. His eyes were deep and solemn. We might have underestimated her before. Now that I think about it, the D family is a big family after all. If their daughter-in-law is just an ordinary girl, they won't accept her so easily. Moreover, they actually gave up on a marriage alliance with the Shao clan for a woman from the lower realm. This point is worthy of consideration. Jun Xianxiao slowly analyzed. You should pay more attention in the next few days. I'm afraid this woman is quite capable. The Millennium Illuminating Vine is no ordinary item. Since Bailey Hongzhuang was able to trade it back, the item she took out must be extraordinary as well. Great Elder, I also think that we underestimated her before. Do you think there's a problem with the second young master of the D family agreeing to our bet? Jun Lingxuan pondered. Hearing this, Jun Xianxiao was silent for a moment. Then, he said, it shouldn't be. At this time, it is impossible for the D family to produce an 8th level alchemist. Great Elder is right. Big brother, don't worry. Jun Liyun couldn't help but say, this time we will definitely win. Seeing that everyone was so convinced, Jun Lingxuan also nodded and suppressed the uneasiness in his heart. Perhaps he was really overthinking all this. Chapter 4692. Xiao Sou immediately returned to her family and went to look for the clan elder. Elder, quickly bring me to the D family's residence, Xiao Sou said as soon as she saw the elder. Hearing this, the great elder was puzzled. Eldest miss, why do you suddenly want to go to the D family's residence? They have the light vine. You should know how important this thing is to me. Father has said before that if we encounter something similar to the light vine, no matter the price, as long as it is within the family's ability to bear, we will definitely help me exchange it for it. You remember this, right? Hearing this, Xiao Jinfeng's expression turned serious. Eldest miss, don't worry. I will definitely think of a way to obtain this light vine. Xiao Jinfeng's heart immediately became lively. The D family has wronged us before. If we propose that as long as they are willing to exchange the light vine with us, we will write off our previous enmity. I'm sure they will agree. If it was any other family, it would be very difficult for them to obtain the light vine. However, the other party was the D family, so it was much easier to solve this problem. However, after hearing Xiao Jinfeng's words, Xiao Sou fell into silence. After hesitating for a while, she said, Great Elder, I will be going with Jun Lingxuan today. As soon as these words were spoken, Xiao Jinfeng was slightly startled. Looking at Xiao Sei Wu's guilty expression, he immediately understood, and his expression became extremely ugly. What a fool! Do you know what it means for you to be going with Jun Lingxuan today? Previously, when the D family rejected the engagement, I felt that I had lost face. Our family and the D family have been very close all these years. Even though the Jun family has always wanted to be on good terms with us, the head of the family has never been too close. You should know the reason for this. Now that you and Jun Lingshuan have appeared in front of the D family at this juncture, what do you think they will think? I didn't think so much at the time, Xiao Shou said gloomily. Alas, Xiao Jinfeng sighed. If you were alone, the possibility of success would not be small. But in the current situation, the possibility is not high. Xiao Shou immediately became anxious. Great Elder, you know how important this radiant vine is to me. No matter what, you have to help me get it. Let's go now and try our best. Xiao Jinfeng immediately took Xiao Shou to the D family's residence. However, halfway there, they suddenly met two people. Elder Xiao, are you heading to the D family's elixir shop? Jun Xianxiao smiled as he looked at Xiao Jinfeng. Do you need my help? Jun Lingshuan smiled at Xiao Shou. After he told the Great Elder about what had happened, the Great Elder brought him to the path leading to the D family's medicine store and waited for them to arrive. When he saw Jun Xianxiao, Xiao Jinfeng frowned slightly. A complicated light flashed in his eyes. If he went with Jun Xianxiao at this moment, it would be tantamount to telling the D family that they had allied with the Jun family. Thank you for your kindness, Elder Jun. We will handle this matter ourselves. Xiao Jinfeng declined politely. Hearing Xiao Jinfeng's answer, Jun Xianxiao was not surprised. He smiled faintly and said, Elder Xiao, I understand your concerns. But think about it. This radiant vine is too important to miss Xiao. Chapter 4693. I understand Elder Jun's good intentions, but this is a matter between us and the D family. It's better for us to deal with it ourselves. Xiao Jinfeng's attitude was still firm. He couldn't agree to this kind of thing without the family head's consent. Elder Xiao, we're doing this out of good intentions. Jun Lingshuan couldn't help but say, if the D family was willing to give it to us, they would have done so already. Even if we go now, we'll get the same answer. That's right. If we go and help them, we can put some pressure on them and force them to give in, Jun Xianxiao said slowly. After Xiao Shou heard this, an anxious expression appeared on her face. Great Elder, this radiant vine is really important to me. She couldn't help but feel depressed when she thought about how the light vine was in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. Just as she hated Bailey Hongzhuang didn't like her either. She probably wouldn't agree at all. Xiao Jinfeng's mood was also very complicated. This light vine was really important to Miss Xiao. Before they could find another way, this light vine was their only chance. Jun Xuanqiao's words made sense. It wouldn't be easy to find a way to exchange for it. Most importantly, the D family probably already believed that they were in cahoots with the Jun family. Even if he tried to explain it now, it would be useless. After all, many people had seen what happened before. In the end, Xiao Shou was too impulsive before. Elder Xiao, you also know that this is the only chance for Miss Xiao to become the real Holy Maiden of Light. Once she misses it, it won't be so easy to find another suitable opportunity. Jun Xuanqiao's eyes were filled with a deep and clear light, but his voice was very calm. As soon as he said this, Xiao Jinfeng and Xiao Shou's faces both changed. Only they and a few people in the Holy Assembly knew about this. It had never been spread. How would the Jun family know about it? Now, the outside world basically believed that Xiao Shou would become the Saint of Light. They didn't know that there was still a fine line between the two. If the Jun family spread this news, it would be extremely disadvantageous for them. Elder Jun, Xiao Jinfeng frowned. Elder Xiao, this is just a suggestion. You should know that we have been trying to get on good terms with you all these years, but you always keep us at arm's length. In fact, I just want to help today. I don't have any other thoughts. Jun Xianxiao smiled. If Elder Xiao doesn't need us, then we'll take our leave first. As soon as he finished speaking, Jun Xianxiao prepared to leave. Wait. Xiao Jinfeng's voice rang out. Although the D family had expected that Xiao Shou and the others would come, they didn't expect that the Jun family would also come with them. For a moment, everyone's eyes darkened. If they hadn't been sure that the Xiao family and the Jun family had formed an alliance before, then the actions of the other party had clearly confirmed it. Is Elder Di Qiyuan here? Xiao Jinfeng walked in and asked with a smile after seeing the young disciples of the Di family and Lin family. Elder Xiao is currently cultivating in his room. May I know why Elder Xiao is here? Di Xiaofeng slowly asked. Chapter 4694. Jun Lingxuan saw that Di Xiaofeng completely ignored his existence, and his face turned cold. Jun Xianxiao, who was on the side, gave him a wink. There was always a faint smile on his face. He didn't take all this to heart at all. From a moment they appeared together with Xiao Jinfeng, their goal had already been achieved. As for whether they could get the light vine or not, he didn't care at all. I heard that the Di family got a light vine in the underground market. This light vine is very useful to sow. I hope you can give it to us. As for the reward, we will never let you suffer a loss. We will definitely take out something of equal value in exchange. Can you please invite Elder Di Chuyuan out? Seeing that Xiao Jinfeng's attitude was not bad, Di Xiaofeng nodded. Elder Xiao, please wait for a moment. I will go and invite the great elder. After Xiao Shou sat down, her eyes fell on Di Beichen. Just like the first time she saw Di Beichen, the feeling of her heart still hadn't dissipated. That was a face that was enough to fascinate any woman. Even if she didn't think about it anymore, she would still think about it at some point. Noticing Xiao Shou's slightly eager gaze, Lin Yi and Lin Qianqian couldn't help but look at each other. It seemed that Xiao Shou really had feelings for Di Beichen. However, Di Beichen never looked at Xiao Shou from beginning to end. At this moment, he was thinking about how his wife was absorbing the light vine. The Jun family's elders came together at this moment with the intention of pressuring them. Once the conflict broke out, he only hoped that Hong Zhuang would not be affected. Not long after, Di Chuyuan came out. Elder Xiao. Di Chuyuan's face was full of smiles, and he cupped his hands to Xiao Jinfeng. I didn't expect to see you today. Xiao Jinfeng also smiled and cupped his hands. Long time no see, Elder Di. Elder Di, we meet again. Jun Xianxiao stood up and smiled. Seeing Jun Xianxiao, the smile on Di Chuyuan's face suddenly disappeared, and his eyes became cold. Elder Xiao, why are you here with Elder Jun today? Compared to his previous eagerness, Di Chuyuan's voice had become calm, with a hint of coldness. It seemed that the situation was indeed developing in the worst direction. The Xiao family had actually joined forces with the Jun family. He had to send this news back to his family as soon as possible so that his family could make preparations. Xiao Jinfeng secretly sighed when he sensed the change in Di Chuyuan's attitude. Unfortunately, he no longer had any other choice. We met by chance, Jun Xianxiao said with a faint smile. Obviously, no one would believe such an excuse. Xiao Jinfeng quickly repeated the reason for his visit. Elder Di, I hope you can help us. Elder Di, the Di family and the Xiao family have been on good terms all these years. For the sake of our friendship, you should agree no matter what, right? Jun Xianxiao said matter-of-factly. Hearing this, Di Chuyuan frowned and said coldly, whether I agree or not, what does it have to do with you? Xiao Jinfeng's heart thumped when he saw Jun Xianxiao speak at this time. When he heard his threatening words, he understood that this matter was not easy to negotiate. Chapter 4695. Di Chuyuan, I'm just saying a few words. What's the meaning of your attitude? Jun Xuanxiao's face turned cold. He didn't even bother to continue his previous hypocrisy. Instead, he directly confronted Di Chuyuan. Di Chuyuan and Jun Xianxiao had always hated each other for so many years. Naturally, Di Chuyuan knew that everything this guy did before was just a disguise. Now that the other party showed his true face, Di Chuyuan felt much more at ease. With our relationship, do you think it is possible for us to have a good talk? Di Chuyuan sneered. It seems that you know it very well in your heart. Jun Xianxiao sneered. To tell you the truth, in this immortal cloud secret realm, I will make you return in failure. You won't get a single spot. Then you don't have to worry about it. Di Chuyuan's momentum was not weak at all. Humph. Jun Xuanxiao's eyes were cold. You're so stubborn. It's not long before the competition starts. I want to see how long you can hold on. You better take care of yourself. Maybe you will lose to us. Are you dreaming? The two alchemists in your family who can't reach the 8th grade in their lifetime want to defeat us? It's simply a pipe dream. Jun Xianxiao ridiculed mercilessly. If it were other things, he would be worried that the Di family might have a backup plan. But in this matter, He had already determined that the D family had absolutely no possibility of turning the tables. "You're not welcome here. You can leave now," Di Chuan said coldly. "Yes, you know that you're not welcome, but you still like to come here. The Jun family is really thick-skinned." Lin Yi's eyes were full of disgust. Di Xiaofeng and others also looked at them coldly. "Leave quickly. Don't stay here and be an eyesore." Seeing everyone's attitude, Jun Xianxiao and Jun Lingshuan's faces were extremely ugly. "I am here to help Elder Xiao today. I can't leave without completing the task," Jun Xianxiao said aloud. Hearing this, Di Chuan looked at Xiao Jinfeng. "Elder Xiao, is this your idea?" "Ugh." Elder Xiao looked embarrassed. He really regretted it now. If he knew that this would be the situation, he would never have agreed to come with Jun Xianxiao. There was no need to talk. The other party directly rejected him. If it were him, he would definitely make the same response. "Great Elder, Hong Zhuang has already absorbed the energy of the bright vine. There are no more bright vines to exchange," Di Beichun said slowly. Di Chuan nodded and looked at Xiao Jinfeng. "Elder Xiao, you heard it. We can't do anything about it." Xiao Jinfeng had a helpless look on his face. He understood that after today's incident, their relationship with the D family would probably be broken. When Xiao Shou heard this, she was unhappy. "What do you mean? Can't you just brush us off?" She had set her eyes on the light vine first. Now that it had been snatched away by Bailey Hongzhuang, she could not accept it. "Oh." Di Chiyuan's expression turned cold. "According to Miss Xiao, I lied to you on purpose? Isn't it obvious?" Xiao Shou said, "We already said that we won't treat you badly. This thing is very useful to me." At this time, Di Beichun also spoke up. "The bright light vine is very helpful to anyone, and it will also be of great help to my wife." Seeing that the person who spoke was Di Beichun, Xiao Shou softened her tone and said, "I am of the light attribute. The bright vine is very helpful to me." Chapter 4696. Di Beichun's voice was low. Xiao Shou was dumbfounded after hearing this. "She also has the light attribute." Lin Yi stood up. "Yes, my second cousin-in-law also has the light attribute, and her talent level is not weak." Miss Lin's words are interesting. No matter how high Miss Bailey's talent level is, can it be higher than this little girl? Jun Lingshuan couldn't help but chuckle. As soon as these words came out, Lin Yi was a little speechless. She only knew that her second cousin-in-law's talent level was not weak, but she wasn't sure what level it was. "This is not necessarily the case," Di Beichun said calmly. According to his judgment, Hong Zhuang's talent level was not weaker than Xiao Shou. On the contrary, she might be stronger than Xiao Shou. However, no one believed Di Beichun's words at all. "In any case, we can't give you this light vine anymore," said Lin Qianqian. "You've gone too far." Xiao Sei Wu's face was filled with anger. For the sake of this light vine, it could be said that she had exhausted all means. One had to know that this thing itself was a very rare treasure. Wanting to find it was not an easy matter at all. It was precisely because of this that she did not hesitate to go when she knew that the light vine would appear today. If she missed this opportunity, she really didn't know when she could find it again. She couldn't accept the opportunity to slip away in front of her eyes. "Xiao Shou, I don't understand what you were saying." Seeing the other party like this, Lin Yi was unhappy. Obtaining the light vine before was based on various means. My second cousin-in-law obtained the light vine because of her ability. This thing is not yours. What's wrong with not giving it to you? That's right. Miss Xiao is probably used to being spoiled at home. You have forgotten that we are not in the Xiao family. There's no need to endure your unreasonable behavior, said Lin Qianqian sarcastically. Xiao Shou's face was pale. When she was about to argue again, Xiao Jinfeng stopped her and shook his head slightly, motioning her to stop talking. At this point, it didn't make any sense to say more. Regardless of whether this light vine was used or not, the D family had made up their mind not to hand it over. Let's go, Xiao Jinfeng sighed. Hearing this, Xiao Shou looked unwilling, but she didn't want to leave at all. Seeing this, Jun Xianxiao couldn't help but say, Great Elder Xiao, since this thing is so important to Miss Xiao, it's a pity to leave it like this. Xiao Shou's eyes lit up when she heard this. She was indeed unwilling to give up. Xian Xiao said, "It's simple. It's actually very simple. If they don't want to give it to you, just force them to." Xian Xiao smiled. "I don't believe it's such a coincidence. The other party has the light attribute and absorbed the light vine immediately." According to Xiao's judgment, although Bailey Hongzhuang was Di Beichen's wife, her status was definitely not comparable to the direct descendants of the Di family. If it was someone else who took it, he could believe it. But now, it was Bailey Hongzhuang who took it. There was no credibility at all. Jun Lingshuan also nodded. "Yes, Miss Xiao. It's a pity to give it up like this." Di Beichen looked at Jun Lingshuan coldly. "According to your words, are you going to make a move? So what if we make a move?" Jun Lingshuan sneered. Chapter 4697. Xiao Jinfeng originally didn't want to deepen the conflict with the Di family, but after seeing his young lady's insistence, he hesitated in his heart. After all, this opportunity was too important for Xiao Shou. But when he thought of the friendship between them and the Di family over the years, he didn't want to completely fall out with them. "As long as you find Bailey Hongzhuang and prove to me that she has taken the light pain, then I will leave today," Xiao Shou insisted. "Miss Xiao is really big, but you seem to have chosen the wrong place to behave atrociously. My Di family is not a place for you to mess around. Not to mention that we are telling the truth. Even if we are not, what can you do? If you really want to do it, then don't talk nonsense. Just do it." Di Beichen's voice was extremely cold. If he had a good impression of the Xiao family when they agreed to break off the engagement, then now his impression of Xiao Shou and others was extremely bad. This was a completely self-righteous young lady who did whatever she wanted just because of her status. He hated people like this the most. Listening to Di Beichen's words, Xiao Shou couldn't help but be stunned. She didn't care about what others said before, but Di Beichen said so. Naturally, she couldn't help but feel a wave in her heart. "I'm just fighting for what I need. Are you going to protect her like this?" Xiao Shou couldn't help but ask. This woman is completely out of her mind. Why bother talking to him? Lin Qianqian rolled her eyes. She admitted that Xiao Shou's talent and strength were praiseworthy, but she had to say that this girl's brain circuit was really different from others. "That's right. If my second cousin doesn't protect my second cousin-in-law, is he going to protect you?" Lin Yi sneered. Xiao Shou was speechless by Lin Yi. Her original depression suddenly turned into anger. She immediately said, "Great elder, since they don't care about their previous friendship, then we don't have to worry about it." She wanted to let Di Beichen know how stupid it was to give up on her. Jun Xiao had been waiting for Xiao Shou to say this. He immediately showed a happy expression and said, "Miss Xiao, you're right. The Di family has wronged you in the first place, yet they are still acting so tough. It's obvious that they don't have the sincerity to befriend you." As soon as he finished speaking, the origin energy in Jun Xuanqiao's body surged out. His powerful aura directly crushed toward Di Chuyuan. Di Chuyuan snorted coldly. With a wave of his right hand, he directly shattered the military academy's aura. "Since you want to snatch it by force, I'll accompany you to the end." Jun Xiao chuckled. "Di Chuyuan, you alone are no match for the two of us." Although Xiao Jinfeng had been hesitating when Xiao Shou said those harsh words, he understood that today's situation could no longer be changed. Since he was destined to sever all ties with the Di family, he had to at least snatch the light vine. Otherwise, he would have suffered a huge loss today. "Elder Di, I'm sorry." Seeing this, Di Chuyuan's eyes were cold and gloomy. In that case, there's no need to talk nonsense. After Di Xiaofeng and others on the side saw this scene, they also understood in their hearts that from today onwards, the Di family and the Xiao family could be said to have cut off all ties. "Elder Jun and Elder Xiao, what a great lineup. Do you think that only you have reinforcements and the Di clan doesn't have any?" Chapter 4698. Hearing this familiar voice, Di Xiaofeng and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the great elder's judgment was right. Fortunately, he had sent someone to invite the Lin family's elder over. Otherwise, they would be at a disadvantage if they fought at this moment. Lin Xuanren slowly walked over and stood beside Di Chuyuan without hesitation. glaring at Jun Xianxiao and Xiao Jinfeng. Seeing Lin Xuanren's appearance, Jun Xianxiao and Xiao Jinfeng couldn't help but look at each other, their gazes dignified. They originally wanted to take advantage of today's opportunity to quickly crush Di Chuyuan so that they could snatch the light vine. However, they didn't expect the Lin family's elder to rush over so quickly. One had to know that their cultivations were usually on par. If they had the same number of people, it wouldn't be possible to determine the winner in a short period of time. Once this matter was spread out, it wouldn't be good for any of their families. It seemed that they had lost their advantage. When I heard the news before, I didn't dare to believe it. I didn't expect the Xiao family to be connected with the Jun family. In my opinion, the reason you went to the Di family to break off the engagement was just an excuse to form an alliance with the Xiao family. Lin Xuanren sneered. If you want to break off contact with us, just say it. Why do you have to be so hypocritical? As soon as these words came out, Xiao Jinfeng couldn't help but frown. Elder Lin, what do you mean by this? We went there with good intentions. It's you who didn't care about our friendship. Xiao Jinfeng, now that we are all here, you don't have to lie through your teeth. You have to understand that it was you who came to the Di family and said that you wanted to break off the engagement. We agreed. Later, you said that you didn't want to break off the engagement, and we refused. In this way, we didn't do anything wrong at all. Not only that, in order to ease the many years of friendship, the Di family also expressed goodwill to you. What you're doing now is obviously ungrateful. Don't think that it's okay to pour dirty water on the Di family. No one is a fool. If this matter is spread out, everyone will naturally understand, Lin Xuanren said coldly. Hearing Lin Xuanren's words, all the disciples present couldn't help but look at each other in dismay. Previously, in order to give the Xiao clan face, the clan really didn't speak of the matter in detail. Only now did they understand what was going on. She didn't expect the Xiao family to go back on their word. In that case, the Di family didn't do anything wrong. The Xiao clan is really too much. They think everything is up to them. Dijiai's eyes were filled with disgust. It was only now that he realized what was going on. In that case, it wasn't entirely Di Beichen's fault. No matter who it was, they would have a temper. Whatever the other party said was the truth. Naturally, it would make people unhappy. Previously, I thought that we had mistreated the Xiao family and felt apologetic towards them. So this is the truth. Dai Heoan also had a look of disbelief on his face. After Lin Xuanren revealed the truth, Xiao Jinfeng and Xiao Sou's faces swelled to the color of a pig's liver. Although they felt that the Di family was indeed in the wrong, after hearing Lin Xuanren's words, they felt that the Di family wasn't in the wrong. It was all their fault. Chapter 4699. Xiao Jinfeng naturally understood that it would not do them any good if they continued to talk like this. Elder Lin, we have indeed come here today to ask for Elder Di's help. If they cared about our friendship, they would not be so perfunctory and say such obvious lies, Xiao Jinfeng said in a deep voice. However, just as Xiao Jinfeng finished speaking, the aura of a breakthrough spread over. This aura also contained the aura of the light attribute. Feeling this, Xiao Jinfeng's face suddenly became very ugly. Just now, he said that the Di family deliberately said such words to brush them off. He did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would break through now. This aura of a breakthrough contained a strong light aura. They believed that there could not be such a coincidence in this world. This must be a breakthrough made after absorbing the light vine. Elder Xiao, you should believe us now, right? Di Chuyuan said in a deep voice. Xiao Jinfeng's face was full of embarrassment. This situation was completely beyond his expectations. For a moment, he did not know what to say. We have already made it very clear before. It's just that you're not willing to believe us, Di Xiaofeng said coldly. They actually used it. Xiao Shou could not help but be dumbfounded. This news made her feel even more desperate than if the Di family had lied to her. If the Di family had lied to her, then at least she still had a chance to obtain the light vine. However, now that the light vine had been absorbed, it meant that she no longer had any hope. Jun Xianxiao and Jun Lingxuan could not help but look at each other after noticing this scene. They did not expect all of this to be true. However, they did not take this matter to heart. Anyway, they had already achieved their goal of coming here today. All this time, they had wanted to destroy the alliance between the Xiao family and the Di family and replace the Di family. After today's incident, although this was indeed a misunderstanding, the gap between the two parties had been completely widened. It was basically impossible to restore it. As such, the best choice for the Xiao family was to ally with them. This was the best news for them. Since the matter has been clarified, then please leave. Di Chuyuan's expression was calm and cold, as if the people before him were just strangers. Now that things had developed to this point, he didn't want to say anything more. He just wanted to immediately report this news to the family, so that the family could make preparations as soon as possible. Noticing Di Chuyuan's attitude, Xiao Jinfeng was also filled with regret. They had really failed at the last step this time. They had tried to steal a chicken, but ended up losing the rice used to lure it. Unfortunately, there was no turning back now. After the Xiao family and the Jun family left, peace was finally restored. However, everyone's hearts were heavy. What happened today was obviously not a good thing for them. This meant that in the future, they would lose a helper and correspondingly have one more opponent. They had to be vigilant. Chuyuan, in my opinion, this matter is not entirely a bad thing. Lin Xuanren said slowly, since the Xiao family has been planning to form an alliance with the Jun family for a long time, it's good that we know about it earlier. Otherwise, it would be really bad if we were to fall into their trap. Di Chuyuan nodded slightly. I understand what you mean. That being said, the family has still suffered losses. Chapter 4700. Di Chuyuan sighed faintly. Although he said so, he still felt helpless when he thought about the situation in front of him. The Jun family had been thinking of ways to deal with them all these years. In addition, no one had succeeded in inheriting the bloodline of their family for many years. Now, the power of the family's inheritance was gradually weakening. In order to not let the Di family's disciples panic, they did not say anything about this. In fact, whether it was the family head or them, they were extremely worried about this matter. Once the Xiao family and the Jun family joined forces, they would have another threat. Not for other reasons, but because the Jin family also had a bloodline, but the strength of the bloodline was weaker than the Jun family's. Although they had not succeeded in inheriting the inheritance for so many years, no one could guarantee that they would succeed this time. If the Jun family and the Xiao family succeeded in inheriting the bloodline, the Di family would be in endless danger. Bailey Hongzhuang, who was cultivating, was completely unaware of what was happening outside. She was completely immersed in comprehending the power of light. Through the power of the illuminating vine, she successfully broke through 2 levels and reached the Starlight rank 6. This kind of harvest was already a pleasant surprise to her. However, after breaking through, she felt a mysterious power filling her mind, causing her originally chaotic feeling towards the power of light to gradually become clear. This feeling was as if a ray of light had suddenly appeared in a dense fog where he couldn't even see his own fingers, causing the surrounding fog to gradually fade away. At the same time, he also gained a little more understanding. Only after experiencing it personally would she understand how magical it was. It was because of this that Bailey Hongzhuang was still paying attention to the movements outside. She was worried that this matter would cause a conflict between the two families. In the end, she did not have the mood to care about this at all. She was completely immersed in comprehending the illuminating vine. She understood that this kind of opportunity was not easy to come by. The illuminating vine was definitely a treasure that could only be found by chance. She had to seize this opportunity. Originally, with her strength, she would be at the bottom of the list in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. Moreover, now that she had offended Xiao Sou, she had unknowingly gained an extremely strong opponent. If she did not have the ability to protect herself, she would only be a burden to the Di clan. Time passed by slowly. Xiao He and Bai Shi felt the miraculous changes in Bailey Hongzhuang, and their eyes were filled with astonishment. Immediately after, they realized that they could also feel the power of comprehension when they stood beside Bailey Hongzhuang. Immediately, they were immersed in the comprehension. Dong, Bailey Hongzhuang, who was immersed in her comprehension, only opened her eyes when she heard the sound of someone breaking through the shackles. His pitch-black eyes flashed with an unusually bright light before returning to their original black color. A faint smile appeared on her delicate and elegant face. Bailey Hongzhuang immediately understood that her understanding of the light attribute had already reached a new level. Although she did not know what level she was at least her control over the power of light was much stronger than before. When Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the room, Di Beichun immediately walked over. "My wife, you've come out of your closed-door cultivation." Di Beichun smiled. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded gently. "What time is it now?" While she was comprehending, she only felt that time had passed in the blink of an eye. She did not realize how much time had passed. Chapter 4701. Second Mistress, you finally come out. Di Yunhe let out a sigh of relief and relaxed. "Today is the day of the alchemy competition. We were worried that you wouldn't be able to come out today. We didn't know what to do." Di Hongyin smiled. With Bailey Hongzhuang's help, they had successfully reached the level of an 8 physique alchemist and would be able to enter the alchemy competition. However, they knew that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were much better than theirs. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang only gave them a few pointers, and they managed to break through. This showed how powerful she was. With Bailey Hongzhuang participating in the alchemy competition, they believed that the Di family would be able to turn the tables. Just thinking about it made them extremely excited. Di Qiyuan's face was also full of smiles. He had been worried about this for a long time. Even when the two elders told him that he had become an 8-realm alchemist, he still had a look of disbelief on his face. He never expected Bailey Hongzhuang to be able to reach this step. Immediately, his view of Bailey Hongzhuang changed completely. Previously, he only thought that the second mistress was very intelligent and had the demeanor of a general. She was not petty at all, and he admired her very much. But now, he understood that his second mistress was a complete genius. She was not any worse than the geniuses of the other clans. In fact, her alchemy skills had already surpassed most alchemy geniuses. If he had known this earlier, the Di family would not have had to worry about this. They already had a genius alchemist. "Second mistress, it's all thanks to you this time. If it wasn't for you, our Di clan would have really lost face this time." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled brightly. "I'm also a member of the Di family. This is what I should do. Plus, the competition hasn't started yet. We can't be happy too early." Although that's the case, I believe that other than the Alchemist Guild, no other clans will be able to send out 3 8-realm alchemists at once. Hearing Di Hongyun's words, everyone nodded. They were quite familiar with the alchemy competition in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. Even before the competition started, they could roughly predict the situation. After all, 8-realm alchemists were all famous people. Other than some new alchemists, most of them knew something about it. However, it was not easy to advance to level 8. Taking everything into account, there would not be many of them. Out! After Di Xiaofeng came out of the room, he saw Bailey Hongzhuang, a happy smile on his handsome face. "It seems that today is the day for us to show our prowess." The Junes today. One had to know that they had spent a lot of effort in order to successfully make the other party place a huge bet. Their acting skills were also not easy. Today, it was time for them to reap the fruits of their labor. Just thinking about it made them excited. The June family has been too arrogant these days. Today, we can teach them a lesson, Di Beichun said slowly. Ever since that day, the June family had been especially arrogant because the Xiao family had formed an alliance with them. Chapter 4702. The Xiao family and the Jun family have formed an alliance? Although Bailey Hongzhuang had guessed that there would be such a possibility before, she was still a little surprised when she heard it. After all, so many years of friendship shouldn't be overthrown so easily. Di Xiaofeng nodded slightly. "It's a long story. Let's set off first. I'll tell you in detail on the way." "Okay." Great Elder Di Chuan on the side noticed that Daihoan had also walked in, so he lowered his voice and said, "Don't overdo it later, in case the Jun family has the possibility of going back on their word." Hearing this, everyone nodded. Previously, except for a few of them, No one knew that the 7th elder and the 8th elder had been promoted to the 8th grade alchemist. It wasn't that they didn't believe Daehoen, Lin Yi, and others, but this matter must be pretended well to deceive the Jun family. Once more people knew, it was likely to be exposed. Instead of that, it was better to keep others in the dark. In this way, the best effect could be achieved. Daehoen and Dijai's quickly rushed over. After seeing that everyone had arrived, Dichuan said, "Let's go." It didn't take long for everyone to arrive at the venue of the alchemy competition. Looking at the vast venue in front of her, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but be secretly speechless. This place was enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people, and the entire venue was circular. There was a circular high platform in the center. The high platform was so large that it could accommodate thousands of people. Around this circular high platform was a circle of stair-shaped seats. Here, everyone could clearly watch the competition on the high platform. At this moment, the surrounding area was already full of people, and almost every family occupied a place. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also came to the D family's place. Long ago, the D family cultivators of the elixir shop had already come here to occupy seats. The Lin family members greeted the D family after seeing them arrive. "You're here." Bailey Hongzhuang and others nodded with a smile, but when their eyes fell on the other side, the smile on their faces turned cold. "Oh, Dichuan, you're finally here. You came so late. I thought you were embarrassed to come here because you knew you would only embarrass yourselves." Jun Xianxiao sneered mercilessly. Dichuan coldly glanced at Jun Xianxiao and said, "Jun Xianxiao, can you not bark like a mad dog every time you see us? I'm just telling the truth. Since I'm here, why should I be afraid of others talking about me?" Jun Xuanxiao's eyes were sinister and cold. "If you don't want to listen, then just hand over the 5 quotas of the D family. The competition hasn't even started yet. Aren't you being too anxious? The final outcome is still uncertain." Hearing this, Jun Xianxiao chuckled. "Do you think you can get a place in the alchemy competition by relying on your family's 2 grade 7 alchemists? If you want to blame someone, you can only blame your disciple for being impatient and wanting to bet with us. Now that you've lost all the quotas, I'm afraid you won't have a good time when you go back, right?" Di Chuyuan snorted coldly, turned his head, and didn't say anything else. Seeing this, the D family members became even more complacent. In their opinion, the D family was already showing weakness. Later, they were waiting to see the D family make a fool of themselves. Chapter 4703. The Jun family is really amazing recently. In the past, the D family had always been on top of them. But judging from today's situation, I'm afraid they will be on top of the D family. Haven't you heard? The Xiao family has now formed an alliance with the Jun family. They're so proud these days. I heard that the D family fell into the Jun family's trap this time. Alchemist Qin first promised to represent the D family in the competition, but he later betrayed them and went to the Jun family. As a result, the D family didn't have time to invite other alchemists. Otherwise, they wouldn't have fallen to this point today. Not only that, the D family's children also made a bet with the Jun family's children. Whoever loses today will have to hand over all their slots. In my opinion, the D family may not even get a slot in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm this time. I'm afraid the rankings of the D family and the Jun family will change in the future. Xiao So couldn't help but say after listening to everyone's discussion, "Great Elder, I think our previous choice was not wrong. The D family is so unappreciative. It's only right to give up on them. In my opinion, this D Beichen is also an impulsive person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made such a bet with the Jun family that has no chance of winning." Hearing this, Xiao Jinfeng nodded. At first, he felt helpless about this situation, but now after noticing this scene, he also felt that maybe this development was not a bad thing. The development of the Jun family over the years could not be underestimated. The Immortal Cloud secret realm was also an extremely important opportunity for the young children to gain experience. If the D family really couldn't even get a slot this time, then it was very likely that they would be suppressed by the Jun family in the future. Big Sister did the right thing. I think the second young master of the D family is not worthy of Big Sister at all. What kind of eyesight can people from the lower realm have? He sacrificed the interests of the entire family for a moment of anger. In my opinion, if the D family falls into his hands in the future, I'm afraid it will be completely over. Xiao Sudong said aloud. Xiao Sou's face showed a smile. She firmly believed that the D family would regret it. After Lin Yi and others noticed this scene, the anger on their faces became stronger and stronger. This Jun family is too much. Lin Xuanren sighed. In this matter, the D family was indeed at a disadvantage. Even if they were unconvinced, there was nothing they could do. Not long after, the guild master of the Alchemist Guild arrived. Along with him were the guild masters of the various large elemental guilds. The Immortal Cloud's secret realm that is held once every 10 years is about to open. The old rules are still to hold the alchemy competition. I believe everyone is very clear about the rules, so I won't say anything more. The president of the Alchemist Guild revealed a smile. This time, the judges are the 5 honorary elders of the Alchemist Guild. The appraisal is absolutely fair and just. If anyone has any objections, you can raise them. We will give you an explanation. All the major powers were very familiar with the rules of the alchemy competition. Every competition was very fair, so no one was worried about it. This time, only the top 100 alchemists will be able to get a slot to enter the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. The first place will get 100 slots, the second place will get 99 slots, and so on, decreasing with each level. The competition is divided into 3 rounds. The scores of each round are averaged by the 5 judges, and the total score is the sum of the scores of the 3 rounds. The competition method will be drafted by the guild masters of the various large elemental guilds, and the Holy Light Assembly's president will draw lots to show fairness. Chapter 4704. Bailey Hongzhuang originally didn't know much about the rules of this competition. At this moment, after listening to all this, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. This opening was really concise and comprehensive. There was no nonsense at all. However, the explanation was very detailed. After hearing it, almost no one could not understand the rules. The big families were already familiar with all this. Immediately, the alchemists representing the families walked up to the high platform. Di Yunhe and Di Heng Yun jumped onto the high platform. Di Chu looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and said, "Second madam, it doesn't matter if you don't understand the rules. As long as you follow the rules, it will be fine. This kind of competition has always been very fair. Don't worry." Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. After a smile, she followed Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun up to the high platform. Recently, she was keenly aware that the Great Elder's attitude towards her had changed. This was not to say that the Great Elder did not pay enough attention to her before. This feeling was like the Great Elder's respect for her was mostly because of Di Beichen's face, but now it was completely because of her. Just after Bailey Hongzhuang walked up to the high platform, suddenly there was a cry of surprise not far from her, followed by a burst of worship and admiration. "Look, Ouyang Jifeng from the Ouyang family is participating as well. He is the alchemy genius of the Ouyang family. No one in the younger generation can compete with him in alchemy. He is only 28 years old, but he has already become an 8th-level alchemist. This talent is simply shocking. I heard that many seniors in the Alchemist Guild are full of praise for him. They call him a peerless genius in the alchemy world." Listening to everyone's discussion, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but look to the side. Sure enough, a tall and strong figure stood not far away. Among this group of alchemists who were on the older side, he was clearly in existence that people could notice at a glance. The man's face was indifferent and calm. There was a hint of arrogance between his eyebrows. In the face of countless people's gazes, he chose to completely ignore them. Although this was the first time she had seen this person, the fact that he was able to become an 8th-tier alchemist at such a young age was indeed something to be proud of. "Second madam, this Ouyang Jifeng is a genius alchemist who has been famous for a long time." Di noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze and couldn't help but explain, "However, in my opinion, second madam, you're better." Before learning about Bailey Hongzhuang's attainments in alchemy, Di also felt that Ouyang Jifeng's fame was unparalleled, but now his opinion had completely changed. His second young mistress was a true genius. After all, if it were Ouyang Jifeng, it would be impossible for him to casually guide a seventh-grade alchemist to advance. That's right, I think so too, Diany said. Back then, they were also very envious of the Ouyang clan for having such a genius in alchemy. But now, there was no need to be envious. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a faint smile. There were always many geniuses in this world. That was why they needed to constantly work hard. With Ouyang Jifeng's age, he was extremely eye-catching among the older alchemists. Therefore, Bailey Hongzhuang was also a unique existence. Chapter 4705. Who is this woman? Why is she on the stage as well? She seems to be a member of the D family. I heard that the D family didn't manage to invite a level 8 alchemist this time. Now, they're sending such a young girl to participate in the competition. Is the D family out of desperation? Haven't they lost enough face? I think the D family is really finished this time. They have lost their minds. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. The D family had been exposed a lot recently, which made everyone think that the D family was going downhill. As for the situation in front of them, everyone felt that it was even more incomprehensible. This was completely crazy. After Jun Lingxuan noticed this scene, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. He really did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would participate in this alchemy competition. Even a level 7 alchemist would find it difficult to win a place in the alchemy competition. Only a level 8 alchemist would have a certain chance of winning. A genius like Ouyang Jifeng was definitely a rare existence. It was already very difficult for one like him to appear. It was impossible for another one like him to appear. In his opinion, since the D family didn't have a chance of winning this time, they should participate in the competition in a low-key manner. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang was on the stage, almost everyone's attention was attracted to her. It was difficult for people not to notice her. Jun Xianxiao couldn't help but frown after noticing this scene. He had been dealing with the D family for so many years, so he knew their tricks very well. However, the scene in front of him was completely out of the ordinary. Is the D family crazy? How could they let a woman from the lower world participate in the alchemy competition? Xiao Sudong's face was full of disbelief. Because he was so surprised, his voice became sharper and louder. Originally, many families were curious about this matter, but they didn't understand the real situation. Now that they heard the Xiao family's words, they finally understood. Suddenly, their expressions became even more strange. A woman from the lower world participating in the alchemy competition? What a joke! Jun Wubin sneered. Xiao Sou glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang indifferently and said, "The D family has 3 places, but they only have 2 level 7 alchemists. That's why they let her come." In fact, this situation was not difficult to understand. Such an occasion was undoubtedly very helpful for alchemists. Coming here to gain experience could broaden one's horizons and learn a lot. If it was a direct descendant of the D family, then it would be strange for Bailey Hongzhuang to come here. Let's not talk about anything else. This woman is beautiful. In my opinion, this D clan's second young master is an idiot. He only cares about beauty and completely disregards his clan's reputation. This is already very obvious. Otherwise, the D family's second young master wouldn't have agreed to the D family's bet. You know, the D family will lose the last 5 places. The heir that the D family has been trying so hard to find all these years is a good-for-nothing. How terrible! The disciples of the Xiao family and the Jun family mercilessly slandered Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang. In fact, they felt that their judgment was very correct. It was precisely because of this that the surrounding families also believed in this idea. They sighed in their hearts even more deeply. Chapter 4706. Di Beichun looked indifferent. Let them say what they want. He didn't even bother to explain the truth that was about to be revealed. The more the other party talked, the more painful his face would be. Di Xiaofeng was originally worried that Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't be able to withstand such ridicule and sarcasm. After all, being stared at by so many people all of a sudden, anyone would feel uncomfortable. However, when he looked at them, he realized that his worries were unnecessary. Whether it was Di Bei-chun or Bailey Hong Zhuang, it was as if nothing had happened. Obviously, they simply did not put these things in their eyes. Di Xiaofeng, I think your Di family is really finished this time. You can't even send out such a person. You can't be hoping that this woman can help you get a spot, right? The Jun family's second young master, Jun Shitao, mocked. He really felt that the Di family was a joke. The dignified Di family has fallen to this point. I really feel sorry for you. Di Xiaofeng stepped forward and said, You don't need to worry about this. I advise you not to be too proud too early. So what if you found an ally? You're jumping around like a clown. Can't you be quiet? Hearing this, Jun Shitao's face became a little ugly, but he still said coldly, Continue to hold on. Let's see how long you can hold on. Then open your eyes wide and watch carefully. Otherwise, you'll think of ways to act shamelessly when you lose to us. Di Xiaofeng sneered. When these words came out, the Jun family was stunned at first. Then, as if they had heard the world's biggest joke, they laughed loudly. Haha, did I hear wrong? They want to beat us in this situation? This is simply a fool's dream. Xiao Sou and the others who were not far away couldn't help but sneer after hearing this. This was a complete joke. Di Xiaofeng is already panicking. Xiao Sou's eyes were full of ridicule. All of this was the Di family's choice. If they wanted to blame someone, they could only blame themselves. After all, their Xiao clan had a grade 8 alchemist. Moreover, this grade 8 alchemist grade was relatively high. Therefore, they were not worried about the quota at all. At this moment, a figure walked up to Di Xiaofeng and put a hand on his shoulder. He said with great familiarity, Xiaofeng, what's going on? Di Xiaofeng smiled when he saw who it was. Murong Jing, you're here. Looking at Di Xiaofeng's smiling face, Murong Jing couldn't laugh. You sure have a big heart. Now that you've fallen into such a situation, you can still laugh? What the hell is going on? However, Di Xiaofeng did not care about Murong Jing's worries. Instead, he pulled him to Di Bei-chun and introduced him. Second brother, let me introduce you. This is my good brother, the eldest young master of the Murong family, Murong Jing. Murong Jing, this is my second brother, Di Bei-chun. Hearing this, Murong Jing looked at Di Bei-chun and smiled. Just by looking at his appearance, I can tell that he's your biological brother. You brothers' genes are really abnormal. Di Bei-chun smiled. Nice to meet you. No need to be so polite with him. Di Xiaofeng chuckled. I've been hanging out with this kid since we were young. We're all brothers. Murong Jing nodded. You're Xiaofeng's brother, so you're my brother. We'll be on the same side in the future. Chapter 4707. First, tell me, what's the situation with you guys? Why do I feel like the Di family has changed a lot in the time that I haven't seen you? Murong Jing looked worried. He had arrived a little late today, but the moment he arrived, he heard all kinds of unfavorable rumors about the Di family. He couldn't help but be stunned. He had only been in seclusion for a while, but he didn't expect so many things to happen. You have to think carefully. If there's a way, it's better to cancel the bet. If the Di family can't get a single spot this time, then it'll be really bad. Looking at Murong Jing's concerned look, Di Xiaofeng felt a trace of warmth in his heart. Ever since the Xiao family and the Jun family formed an alliance, plus the news that the alchemist was poached, many cultivators who were usually in contact with him were not as close as before. Even though he knew that the Jun family's plan wouldn't succeed, he couldn't help but sigh at the hypocrisy of the world after noticing all this. Through this matter, he had seen through a lot of people. Murong Jing still treated him as usual, which made him feel a little touched. We won't cancel it, Di Bei-chun said. Murong Jing was slightly stunned, then helplessly sighed. In fact, he also understood that this kind of thing couldn't be said out loud. If he went back on his word now, it would be very embarrassing. Forget it. Our family has a good alchemist. If we can get a few more spots, I'll think of a way to ask the family for a few more spots. It's just that the competition this time is more intense, so I don't know how many spots we can get. Murong Jing's face was full of worry. The competition for the spots in the Immortal Cloud secret territory was extremely terrifying. Genius alchemists were piled up, so it wasn't easy to stand out. Good brother, thank you for your good intentions. Di Xiaofeng patted Murong Jing's shoulder and said with a smile, Don't worry, my sister-in-law isn't simple. Damn. Murong Jing was speechless. What time is it now? You're still so calm? I'm worried for you. What's the hurry? The competition hasn't even started yet. You'll know when you watch, Di Xiaofeng said with a smile. Di Beichen's lips curled into a faint smile. His eyes met with Bailey Hongzhuang's, filled with determination and trust. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head quietly. She would do her best to help the Di family get a spot. Although there were still ninth-grade alchemists among the alchemists participating in the competition, she was naturally no match for them. Fortunately, there were very few ninth-grade alchemists. Among the eighth-grade alchemists, she was still very confident that she could obtain a good result. After all, this was the upper world. There were as many powerhouses and geniuses as there were clouds in the sky. So, it was almost impossible for the younger generation to come out on top. However, as long as they could win over the Jun family's quota, they would be able to hold their heads high. When Alchemist Qin noticed Di Yunhe, Di Hongyun, and Bailey Hongzhuang around him, he couldn't help but sneer. Di Yunhe, are you really not afraid of losing face by bringing such a little girl up here? In my opinion, this little girl probably hasn't even reached Tier 5 Alchemist, right? Di Yunhe coldly looked at Alchemist Qin. You don't have to worry about that. Seeing this, Alchemist Qin looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. I heard that the alchemists in the lower world aren't very skilled. You're really brave to dare to participate in this competition. Chapter 4708. Bailey Hongzhuang was originally very dissatisfied with Medicine Master Qin. If it weren't for this guy, the Di family wouldn't have fallen into such a predicament. Originally, Medicine Master Qin had behaved himself, but he had provoked her time and time again. If she didn't teach him a lesson, then she wouldn't be Bailey Hongzhuang. I disdain talking to people who don't keep their promises. Her cold voice didn't hide her disgust and disdain. Bailey Hongzhuang coldly glanced at Medicine Master Qin as if she had seen something disgusting. He was actually looked down upon by a little girl. Medicine Master Qin felt ashamed and angry. This is clearly because the Di family can't afford it. What's wrong with me leaving? Humans die for wealth, just as birds die for food. He didn't feel that there was anything wrong with his actions. Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. If everyone was like this, then there would be no such thing as credibility in this world. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, everyone present felt the same. The Di family had been tricked by the Jun family and Medicine Master Qin. Everyone understood this. Although they didn't say it out loud, they still felt some disdain for such a method. As far as I know, you didn't even negotiate with the Di family. You directly colluded with the Jun family, didn't you? You'd better stick to the big tree that is the Jun family. Otherwise, any family that invites an alchemist like you will be really unlucky. Who knows if you'll collude with other families behind their backs. Bailey Hongzhuang's glib tongue directly poked at Medicine Master Qin's weak spot. He was actually a little worried about this point, but after thinking about it carefully, he felt that it wasn't a big problem. However, now that Bailey Hongzhuang had said it out loud, he realized that something was wrong. When he turned his head, he found that everyone around him was secretly nodding their heads. They all had the same expression on their faces. This little girl is right. What Medicine Master Qin did this time was indeed despicable. In any case, I won't dare to ask Medicine Master Qin to do anything in the future. Didn't you see how badly the Di family was tricked this time? If they hadn't invited Alchemist Qin, this wouldn't have happened. Although the Di family was very unlucky this time, at least they cleared the mine for us. Thinking about it, the alchemist our family hired was very good. At least he wasn't poached by our opponents. In a short period of time, everyone changed the topic as they found the source of this matter. When Di Yun, he, and the others saw Alchemist Qin's face turn red, they felt a burst of joy in their hearts. These days, Medicine Master Qin had been living a carefree life, and they had long disliked him. Now that the second madam had said this, Medicine Master Qin's future would probably be difficult. You stinky girl, what nonsense are you talking about? Medicine Master Qin cursed angrily. He didn't expect that this girl would cause such a commotion the moment she opened her mouth. If he had known earlier, he would never have taken the initiative to speak to this girl. Whether it's nonsense or not, everyone knows very well. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged and ignored Medicine Master Qin. Instead, she turned her attention to the judge's table nearby. Now, let's draw the content of the first round. As soon as the president of the Alchemist Guild finished speaking, the president of the Radiant Guild took out a piece of paper from a sealed box. Then, he read out the content of the piece of paper. The first round, Refining Medicinal Ingredients. Chapter 4709. Refining medicinal herbs was an essential skill for an alchemist. However, every alchemist extraction of medicinal herbs was different. The better the extraction of medicinal herbs, the better the effect of refining pills. However, sometimes, even if the extraction of medicinal herbs was slightly inferior, it would not affect the alchemist's reputation and strength. Now that the assessment was about the extraction of medicinal herbs, they would definitely take out medicinal herbs that were very difficult to extract for the assessment. In this way, many alchemists' ability to extract medicinal herbs would be revealed. After all, when refining pills, there were many medicinal herbs that were not difficult to extract other than those that were difficult to extract. The medicinal herb to be extracted this time is the iron heart fruit. If the extraction rate reaches 60%, you'll pass. If you can't reach 60%, you'll be eliminated. Following the Light Association's president's words, everyone also understood the requirements of this assessment. I didn't expect to be extracted from the iron heart fruit. This thing is the most difficult to extract. Basically, everyone feels a headache just looking at it. This iron heart fruit has a hard exterior, and it's very difficult for flames to soften it. However, its interior is very fragile. Once the flames are too strong, the essence inside will instantly turn into nothingness. Not only that, after the exterior is melted, there will be a lot of residue in the essence. The extraction is the residue in the essence. The difficulty can be imagined. Therefore, this iron heart fruit is something that everyone is unwilling to extract. 60% seems to be a low requirement, but in fact, among the thousands of alchemists, I'm afraid that less than half of them can reach 60%. This alchemy competition is indeed as difficult as before. The crowd, who didn't know much about the iron heart fruit, finally understood after hearing the discussion. Their faces were filled with horror. They did not expect this medicinal herb to be so difficult to extract. Many people would be eliminated in the first round. Some alchemists who did not have much confidence in obtaining a ranking had their expressions become extremely ugly after hearing this question. The last trace of hope was directly extinguished. It's actually an assessment of the iron heart fruit. This time, those who are not strong enough will be directly exposed. Xiao Sou's face was filled with joy and pride as she looked straight at Bailey Hongzhuang. She already hated this woman who was playing to the gallery and had snatched her light vine. Later, when Bailey Hongzhuang was directly eliminated, she would take good care of her and let the younger generation know that this grandstanding and overconfident woman was a woman. Jun Lingxuan naturally knew who Xiao Sou was referring to. He immediately smiled and said, "She's just asking for humiliation. Let's just wait and see." As he said this, Jun Lingxuan took a deep look at Di Beichen and Di Xiaofeng. Maybe the three alchemists of your family will be eliminated in the first round. Di Beichen chuckled, his handsome face relaxed. "Instead of worrying about us, why don't you take good care of your alchemist Qin? He doesn't look too good either." Hearing this, Jun Lingxuan was slightly taken aback. His gaze shifted slightly, and, as expected, he saw Alchemist Qin's hesitant and somewhat helpless expression on his face. His heart couldn't help but thump. Alchemist Qin was an 8th grade alchemist. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have any problems with this kind of thing, right? Chapter 4710. Thinking that he might be ostracized by everyone in the future, his mood was already very bad. Therefore, he only hoped that he could shine in this alchemy competition. Only in this way could he eliminate the previous impact. He didn't expect that he would be refining the iron heart fruit. If it was something else, he still had some confidence to get an excellent result. However, the refinement of the iron heart fruit was considered his weak point. He was afraid that it would affect his results. "Young Master Jun, you can rest assured," Xiao Sou slowly said. "Alchemist Qin has already advanced to the 8th level. He is quite famous even among the 8th level alchemists. There will definitely be no problem. Jun Lingxuan also nodded. He also had some understanding of Alchemist Qin's strength. He would definitely be able to help the family win a place. Soon, there was an ironheart fruit in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. The ironheart fruit was completely black. It was very hard like a stone in the hand. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the ironheart fruit in front of her. Her delicate and elegant face was surrounded by a confident luster. Her refinement of medicinal herbs had always been very high. The teaching of the Chaos Ring was very useful. Thinking back, when she first learned in the Chaos Ring, besides identifying medicinal herbs, the first thing she practiced was the refinement of medicinal herbs. Not only was the Chaos Ring powerful, but the requirements were also particularly high. Therefore, she spent a lot of energy and time on refining medicinal herbs. The ironheart fruit was indeed difficult to refine. Unfortunately, the medicinal herbs she used to practice refining were the ironheart fruit. The first round begins now. With the command, many alchemists on the competition stage began to act immediately. This round of assessment not only required the refinement of medicinal herbs, but also the refining time. Because the number of participating alchemists was really too many, even if it was only a very short time, the rankings would be different. Bailey Hongzhuang naturally knew this, so she didn't delay. After carefully looking at the ironheart fruit, she looked at the alchemy furnace in front of her. After confirming that there were no problems, she began to refine the ironheart fruit. The alchemists on the competition stage began to refine, and the spectator area was very lively. Everyone was paying attention to their own alchemists and the alchemists of other families. Under these circumstances, even if everyone had more confidence in their own alchemists, they couldn't help but be a little nervous. Bailey Hongzhuang methodically refined the ironheart fruit, carefully controlling the temperature in the furnace. These were not unfamiliar to her. As the temperature in the pill furnace gradually rose, the ironheart fruit that had been quiet and motionless also underwent some changes. The surface began to melt gradually, but the process was very slow. Bailey Hongzhuang was very patient because she knew that this was a slow process. Once she lost her patience and tried to speed up the process, it was very likely that she would fail. Time passed slowly. Bailey Hongzhuang refined it over and over again. As long as there was time, she would do her best. This was because she understood the importance of the quota to the D family. Furthermore, the more cultivators the D family sent, the more advantage they would have in the Immortal Cloud secret realm. When she thought about how the D family was now being targeted by the Jun family and the Xiao family, she felt very unhappy. He had to teach these despicable fellows a lesson. In essence, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun were very similar. Chapter 4711. There was only one ironheart fruit, which meant that each alchemist only had one chance. Not only that, but time was limited. Even if there were 2 ironheart fruits, everyone had no time to refine a second time. Gradually, some alchemists began to stop. When they finished refining, they directly pressed the button next to the table, indicating that they had finished refining. One by one, the alchemists finished refining. Bailey Hongzhuang was not slow either. After trying her best to refine to the best extent she could, she pressed the button and then waited on the side. When she stopped, most of the alchemists present were still refining. Xiao Sou had been paying attention to Bailey Hongzhuang from the corner of her eyes. When she saw that she had finished refining so quickly, a trace of surprise appeared in her eyes. She thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would fail in refining. She did not expect that she would succeed. Elder sister, don't be fooled by Bailey Hongzhuang's pretense now. In my opinion, the purity of her refining must be very poor. Didn't you see that Ouyang Jifeng hasn't stopped yet? Xiao Sudong said. He had a good relationship with Xiao Sou, so he naturally knew about Di Beichun. Therefore, he was also full of disgust for Di Beichun and Bailey Hongzhuang. They dared to bully his elder sister. They were simply courting death. Listening to Xiao Sudong's words, Xiao Sou subconsciously looked at Ouyang Jifeng, who was not far away. However, just as she turned her head, Ouyang Jifeng also finished refining. She immediately nodded secretly. Bailey Hongzhuang could not be compared with a genius like Ouyang Jifeng. She thought that she was just pretending to be calm at this moment. Maybe she did not even reach 60%. Ouyang Jifeng also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Among the alchemists present, they were the youngest. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang was even younger than him. Coupled with her stunning appearance, he still paid some attention to her. After seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had finished refining, he was also a little surprised. However, he kept his doubts to himself. When the result came out later, he would know the result. When Alchemist Qin stopped refining, he immediately looked at the 3 alchemists of the D family next to him. After seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had finished refining, he was also stunned. When he turned his head and saw that Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun were still refining, he was relieved. From the beginning to the end, he did not take Bailey Hongzhuang seriously. As for Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun, he knew that they were still level 7 alchemists. They could only refine the iron heart fruit to an intermediate level. It was impossible for them to achieve a good result. This time, the Jun family would definitely win against the D family. While Alchemist Qin was secretly proud, Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun were also full of surprise. In the aspect of refining medicinal materials, they were also very weak in the past, especially refining the iron heart fruit. It was really too difficult. However, a few days ago, they happened to ask Bailey Hongzhuang about refining the iron heart fruit. Bailey Hongzhuang's answer and method were refreshing. Today, they happened to refine the iron heart fruit. Naturally, they were very happy. That was because the results of their refinement today were much better than before. Time's up. Chapter 47:12. At the moment when the time was announced, some pharmacists who had yet to finish refining also had to stop. Therefore, immediately after, there was a burnt smell of medicinal herbs failing to be refined. The failed pharmacists were all dejected, and their faces were full of unwillingness. It should be known that it was not that many alchemists did not succeed in refining, but that they wanted to obtain a better ranking, so they continued to refine further. Unfortunately, they did not pay attention to the time, so they directly failed and lost the qualifications to continue the competition. At this time, the Pharmacist Association's president stood up. Because the number of pharmacists participating in the competition is extremely large, the apparatus will be used to judge first. The black light on the table is extremely unqualified, the white light is qualified, the red light is good, and the golden light is excellent. As for the specific score, it will be scored by several judges. After the 3 rounds of competition, the score will be clear. Hearing this, everyone nodded. If it were in normal times, it would be enough to just use the apparatus to score, but there were too many now, so the scoring needed to be very detailed. Otherwise, it would be difficult to rank. When Bailey Hongzhuang heard that the apparatus would actually be used to score, she was secretly surprised. The upper realm really had a lot of means. With the apparatus to score, it would save a lot of time. Otherwise, with 5 pharmacists scoring one by one, who knows how long it would take with so many people. According to her judgment, the apparatus's scoring was probably a screening. Those with lower grades basically did not need to be scored because they could not enter the top 100 at all. Immediately after, Bailey Hongzhuang felt rays of light shining, and a kind of breath quietly swept past the white porcelain bottle next to her. Obviously, it was checking the purity. Suddenly, rays of black light appeared on the competition stage. The black light shining in front of the table meant that they were not qualified. The pharmacists in front of the table all showed dejected expressions when they saw this. All the wishful thinking was useless here. Standing on the stage, they might not see clearly enough, but everyone in the stands found that this was only the first round, and more than half of the pharmacists were eliminated. I didn't expect this iron heart fruit to be so difficult to refine. The pharmacists present are not bad, but so many were eliminated. In fact, it is very difficult to refine the iron heart fruit to 60%. Most pharmacists can't achieve it, so this result is very normal. The pharmacists present had a deep understanding. Generally speaking, being able to refine to 60% was already very good. It was only because everyone here was a genius pharmacist that such a standard was set. Almost everyone believed that Bailey Hongzhuang would be eliminated, but when Xiao Sou and others found that the black light in front of Bailey Hongzhuang's table did not light, their expressions changed. Xiaofeng, I didn't expect your sister-in-law to have some skills. There was a trace of interest on Murong Jing's face. He thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was indeed a bit messy, but at this moment, after seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was stronger than many alchemists, his thoughts had changed. Di Xiaofeng rolled his eyes at him and said, "What are you saying? You?" Chapter 47:13. According to their judgment, Bailey Hongzhuang was definitely the one who would be eliminated immediately. However, Bailey Hongzhuang hadn't been eliminated even though so many alchemists had been eliminated. That was unbelievable. How could this be? The same thought flashed through the minds of the cultivators of the Jun family and the Shao family. This was already incredible. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang was really an alchemy genius? That was impossible. After the eliminated cultivators left one after another, the competition platform suddenly became much more spacious. Then, rays of white light began to shine. Medicine Master Qin's gaze fell on Di Yunhe and the others. According to his judgment, the three of them had stopped at the qualified level. However, after the white light stopped shining, Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Yunhe, and Di Hingyun's table didn't shine. Medicine Master Qin couldn't remain calm. He had agreed to participate in the competition for the Di family. Therefore, he was very familiar with Di Yunhe and Di Yunhe's alchemy skills. The two of them weren't good at refining herbs. It was already difficult for them to reach the qualified level. However, there was no light. Didn't that mean that they had reached the good level? After all, there weren't many alchemists left who could reach the good level. Seeing Medicine Master Qin's expression change, Di Yunhe sneered. "Medicine Master Qin, you're not the only one who has improved over the years." Hearing that, Medicine Master Qin snorted and covered his unnatural expression. He said mockingly, "So what if you've improved in refining herbs? Aren't you just level 7 alchemists? You don't have to worry about that." Di Yunhe smiled. He wasn't in a hurry to tell Medicine Master Qin that they had become level 8 alchemists. He felt that it would be more interesting to let Medicine Master Qin discover it himself. Bailey Hongzhuang is a doctor. How could she be so skilled in alchemy? Xiao Sou's heart began to waver. She had looked down on Bailey Hongzhuang in every possible way. She didn't expect her to have such results. She couldn't remain calm. Next is a cultivator with a good level. Another voice sounded. Then, the red light began to flicker. When the red light appeared on the tables, the pharmacists' faces were filled with satisfaction. The Ironheart fruit was so difficult to refine. Being able to refine it to 80% was already a very good result, so everyone was very satisfied. Even if it was an 8th grade alchemist, not all of them would be able to refine it to such an extent. As for the better grade of excellent, that was basically the world of 9th grade alchemists. If it had been before, Alchemist Qin would have been all smiles when the red light flashed in front of him. But now, he couldn't bring himself to smile at all. This was because he wasn't able to completely crush the Di family's alchemist in this round. In his opinion, this was something impossible, but it had happened. He didn't even want to look at the faces of Di Yunhe and the others. However, when he looked at the people of the Jun family, he found that they were looking at him as if they had seen a ghost. Chapter 47:14. When Medicine Master Qin turned around, his expression became the same as everyone else from the Jun family. That was because Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two did not have any red light flashing in front of them. From the beginning to the end, there was no light in front of their tables. Didn't this mean that they had reached the golden level? How is this possible? If it weren't for the fact that he was standing in front of everyone's eyes, he would have shouted out his thoughts. There was definitely something wrong with the equipment. Bailey Hongzhuang tilted her head and noticed that there was no red light in front of the two elders' tables. She smiled. "Second young mistress, it's all thanks to the method you taught us." Di Hingyun smiled and transmitted his voice. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. "Eighth elder, this is all thanks to your ability. If it weren't for second young mistress's guidance, we wouldn't have been able to do this." At this moment, Di Yunhe was full of admiration for Bailey Hongzhuang, especially when he noticed Medicine Master Qin's expression. It was as if he had seen a ghost. He felt proud and elated. Medicine Master Qin was extremely arrogant in front of them. Because they were not as strong as him, they could only hold their breaths. But now, They could finally return all of this to him. How great was the feeling of being able to hold one's head high? They were now experiencing it for themselves. All of this was given to them by the second young mistress. This is impossible. Medicine Master Chen's voice became sharp and filled with incredulity and disbelief. How could Di Yunhe and Medicine Master Chen's refining technique have improved so much in such a short time? The most frightening thing was that Bailey Hongzhuang, this little girl, had actually reached the gold grade. For a moment, he even thought that he might be dreaming. Medicine Master Chen's sharp voice attracted many people's attention. Only then did they realize the situation of the 3D family alchemists. Damn, this is really a huge reversal. Didn't they say that the D family would be done for if they didn't manage to invite an 8th level alchemist? Why doesn't it look like that's the case? That young woman can reach the excellent level? Isn't that too scary? Didn't you say that you came from the lower realms? I'm not too sure about this either, but judging from the reactions of the Jun family and the Xiao family, this is going to be interesting. Everyone sympathized with the D family because they had been tricked by the Jun family and the Xiao family. Now that there was such a big reversal, everyone felt that it was very interesting. More and more people turned their attention to Bailey Hongzhuang. There were only 2 alchemists in their 20s on the field. One was the famous Ouyang Jifeng, and the other was the unknown Bailey Hongzhuang. Ouyang Jifeng also did not have any light flashing in front of him, which meant that he had reached the gold level. No one found this strange. After all, he was a rare alchemy genius in the upper realm. However, such an unknown character like Bailey Hongzhuang also had such results. It was like a stone startling a splash of water. I didn't think that we'd underestimated the second madam of the D family. It looks like she's really capable. I also thought that the D family wouldn't let anyone come up here so casually. It turns out that they're very confident. Every force had 3 quotas, but not all of them were willing to take up these 3 quotas. Therefore, the 3 alchemists of the D family standing on the high platform were unique existences. Chapter 47:15. Ouyang Jifeng's gaze landed on Bailey Hongzhuang. He never thought that there would be such an outstanding person among the younger generation. She was younger than him, but her strength had already reached such a level. Could it be that she was even more talented than him? Previously, when he heard Xiao Shou and the others' words, he had thought that Bailey Hongzhuang had only come here because she was trying to seduce Di Beichen. But now, he understood that Bailey Hongzhuang was someone with true strength. For a moment, he was actually somewhat dissatisfied with Xiao Shou. She clearly came here with her true strength, yet she insisted on slandering others. Even if she was the next Saint of Light, it was not good to casually use such a title. As a genius alchemist, he knew very well how much effort one had to put in to achieve such a result. No matter how talented one was, without enough effort, it was absolutely impossible. Just based on this point, he understood that Bailey Hongzhuang was definitely not the kind of person that Xiao Shou was talking about. While Ouyang Jifeng was sizing up Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze also landed on Ouyang Jifeng. Then, Ouyang Jifeng smiled and nodded at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang also returned the smile. This scene was not ignored by the crowd. Suddenly, a series of exclamations rang out. One had to know that Ouyang Jifeng was a genius in the limelight. There were many people who were chasing after him. Ouyang Jifeng just smiled at Bailey Hongzhuang. Does this mean that he has acknowledged Bailey Hongzhuang? To be able to obtain Ouyang Jifeng's acknowledgement, this Bailey Hongzhuang really does have some skills. The Xiao family is really spreading rumors this time. It seems that the second young master of the D family is not a good-for-nothing either. After Bailey Hongzhuang proved her strength, all the previous slander was overturned. Only then did the crowd realize that they had completely misunderstood Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen. The Jun family and the Xiao family are really playing dirty. Even if they joined forces, they wouldn't have slandered them like this. I almost believed it. Thinking about it carefully, the D family is a big family. How could their heir be a good-for-nothing? Everyone understood. When they looked at the Jun family and the Xiao family again, their gazes changed. Jun Xianzhao's expression became extremely ugly. This situation was completely beyond his expectations. He could not understand how Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two's results could be so outstanding. According to his previous understanding, it was impossible for the 3D Beichen. After noticing the change in Jun Xianzhao's expression, Di Qiyuan's lips slowly curved into a smile. Jun Xianzhao, you have to remember our previous bet. I will wait for you to send the quota over. Don't even think about denying it. Hearing this, Jun Xianzhao's expression became gloomy. He sneered, Di Qiyuan, don't be too proud. You just happen to be good at refining medicinal herbs. There are still 2 more rounds. It's impossible for you to have the upper hand in both rounds. There was an insurmountable gap between a 7th grade alchemist and an 8th grade alchemist. Even if the D family had the upper hand now, he was not so worried. After all, when it came to refining pills, the score difference between a 7th grade pill and an 8th grade pill was huge. Even if the D family had the lead in the first round, they could completely overtake them later. You little brat, I finally understand now. No wonder you are so calm and not anxious at all. Chapter 47:16. Di Xiaofeng smiled. Even though he knew about his family situation, he didn't expect them to perform so well in the first round. If his father and grandfather knew about this, they would be very happy. How did Hong Zhuang do it? Di Zhou's was the most shocked person in the D family. Before, he mocked Bailey Hongzhuang for coming here to cause trouble, but Di Beichun refuted him. Because of this, he was very unhappy. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang was able to do this, he couldn't help but be dumbfounded. I told you before, but you didn't believe me. Di Beichun's voice was gentle. He didn't have a good attitude towards Di Zhou's. After all, this guy was very rude to Hongzhuang, so he naturally didn't have a good impression of him. Di Zhou's wanted to continue asking, but when he saw Di Beichun didn't want to talk to him, he could only swallow his doubts. However, his eyes were filled with excitement. He thought that he would embarrass himself here today, but he didn't think that he would be able to shine in the first round. So Hongzhuang really is an 8th realm alchemist. Dai Heoan finally understood. His face revealed a look of realization, and his eyes were filled with apology. Beichun, I underestimated Hongzhuang before. I'm really sorry. Di Beichun waved his hand, not taking it to heart. In fact, when Hongzhuang said this before, almost no one believed her. How on? Don't you think the result is very good? Di Xiaofeng smiled. Hearing this, Dai Heoan's eyes suddenly lit up. So that bet, you and Beichun did it on purpose? Di Xiaofeng nodded slightly. That's right. Di Zhou's also heard this, and his face was filled with surprise. If they could win the Jun family spot, then the Di family would be the big winner this time. Next up is the excellent alchemist. The golden light quietly flashed. Just as everyone expected, the tables of Bailey Hongzhuang and the other 2 all flashed with golden light. This ray of light directly extinguished the hope in the hearts of the Di family and the Xiao family. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other 2 had actually reached this level. Soon, someone took the white porcelain vase in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and handed it to the 5 judges to determine the score. During this process, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others walked off the stage. Because the number of contestants had decreased, the things above had to be rearranged. Bailey Hongzhuang noticed that the first bottle to be taken away was the white porcelain bottle in front of the gold-level pharmacist, followed by the red one. As for the white porcelain bottle, it seemed that he didn't intend to grade it. Di Hingyan on the side seemed to have guessed the doubts in Bailey Hongzhuang's heart and immediately explained, because this competition only selects the top 100, so the rest basically won't be graded. It's just a waste of time. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. She also expected this possibility. Lin Yi greeted Bailey Hongzhuang as soon as she walked down. Her delicate and lovely face was full of excitement. Second cousin-in-law, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. I underestimated you before. If Lin Yi was asked who she admired the most now, it would be Bailey Hongzhuang without any surprise. Whether it was the day she exchanged for the light vine in the underground market or today's performance on the stage, Bailey Hongzhuang gave her a great surprise. Chapter 47:17. Lin Xianxian and Lin Taxing also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in amazement. The other party's performance today was really beyond their expectations. Although this was only the first level, they suddenly felt that Bailey Hongzhuang could go all the way to the end through the other party's indifferent and calm face. If that was the case, then Bailey Hongzhuang would be the dark horse in this alchemy competition. Facing Lin Yi's admiring look, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. I just happen to be good at it. I just took a look. There are only a dozen alchemists who have reached the gold level. Except for the extremely powerful 9th level alchemists and a few alchemists who are about to break through to the 9th level. There are only the 3 of you and Ouyang Jifeng left. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang said it so simply, Lin Yi shook her head. She had noticed all this clearly. Now she understood that her second cousin-in-law was a low-key person. If it were someone else, they would have been eager to announce it to everyone with such ability. But her second cousin-in-law was so low-key. Lin Taxing and Lin Xianxian glanced at each other. They couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. It seemed that everyone's judgment was wrong. Almost everyone thought that Bailey Hongzhuang only relied on her beauty to get here. In fact, her ability was not weaker than her appearance. Xiao Shou looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, who was surrounded by the Lin family and the Di family, and a hint of jealousy flashed in her eyes. She really didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang could get such an amazing result in this first level. Recalling her previous words, the current situation made her feel very embarrassed. However, she still didn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were really so powerful. After all, she knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was a doctor. Doctors and alchemists had some similarities. Bailey Hongzhuang should only be good at refining medicinal materials. In addition, her alchemy skills were absolutely impossible to reach the 8th level, because such a genius was also extremely outstanding in the upper realm. She did not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang could do this. Di Yunhe and Di Hingyan looked at each other. Both of them were in a good mood. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang, they wouldn't have gotten such a good result in this round. When they thought of the stunned gazes of the crowd just now, they felt a burst of joy in their hearts. These guys were sure that they would be completely wiped out this time. But this situation clearly gave everyone a surprise. Xiao Shou, didn't you think that my second cousin-in-law was just trying to please the crowd? Now open your eyes and see clearly. My second cousin-in-law has real strength, unlike you who only knows how to talk. Lin Yi's eyes were filled with disgust. She raised her chin and looked at Xiao Shou proudly. In the past, she had been very polite to Xiao Shou because of her relationship with the Xiao family. Now that they had become enemies, she naturally wouldn't be polite. Xiao Shou's face suddenly turned cold. It's just the first round. You talk as if you can already get a ranking in this competition. It's ridiculous. At least I'm better than you. Lin Yi shrugged indifferently. Her youthful face was still full of pride. Speaking of which, you don't seem to know how to do this, right? You. Chapter 47:18. Usually, Xiao Shou didn't feel any problem. But now, with Lin Yi's words, she actually felt that she was not as good as Bailey Hongzhuang. This was something she absolutely couldn't accept. However, facing Lin Yi's words now, she couldn't answer. Seeing Xiao Shou fall into silence, Lin Yi became more and more proud. So, don't say that you are from the lower realm in the future and look down on the people from the lower realm. I don't see that you are much better than the people from the lower realm. On the contrary, in my opinion, you are not as good as my second cousin-in-law at all. If you put on that high and mighty look again, it will be a joke. Lin Yi's words hit the nail on the head. She didn't leave any face for Xiao Shou. Lin Yi was a straightforward person. If she liked someone, she liked them. If she didn't like them, she didn't like them. When she thought of Xiao Shou's aggressive and arrogant look in the Di family's elixir shop, she wanted to return all of this back. Lin Yi, don't be too proud. There are still 2 rounds later. If you are too proud, it will be difficult to get off the stage later. Xiao Sudong saw that Xiao Shou couldn't reply in a word, so he quickly spoke up. Lin Yi shook her head. Don't worry. I will always be proud. Oomph. Lin Xuren was also standing beside Di Chuyuan with a smile at this moment. His always calm and steady face was full of surprise at this moment. Chu Yuan, you are too unkind. It turns out that you have already prepared a backup plan, and I have been worried. If I had known this, I would have been able to sleep peacefully these few days. He wasn't exaggerating at all. The family with the best relationship with the D family was their Lin family. No matter what happened, they always stood on the same side. Therefore, if the D family was in a disadvantageous situation, their Lin family would also feel the same. Who would have thought that he was so worried about the D family? In fact, all of this was superfluous. Di Chuan laughed softly. He could hear that while Lin Xuanren's words carried a bit of complaint, there was more joy. Speaking of which, this is all a surprise brought to us by Hong Zhuang. In fact, through this incident, we have also seen a lot of things clearly. The reason why I'm hiding it is because of the bet with the Jun family. Di Chu originally hated the Jun family's previous actions the most. The D family had always been magnanimous. He didn't expect that they would suffer such a big loss this time. Thus, when they found out that the 3 participants from their clans had all reached the level of Tier 8 Alchemist, they made a decision. Since the Jun family wanted to exterminate them and not leave a single spot for them, then they would do the same. Not only that, but because Di Beichun and Di Xiaofeng were being chased, they were extremely cautious. Until the last moment, the fewer people who knew about this, the better. Hearing Di Chiyuan's words, Lin Xuanren also understood. He immediately looked at Jun Xianxiao with a playful gaze. In that case, there will be a good show to watch later. Compared to the joy of the D family at this moment, the Jun family was shrouded in a layer of depression. Jun Xianxiao looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others with a gloomy gaze. He really didn't expect this to happen. Previously, he had clearly inquired about the D family situation very clearly. They didn't even have a single Tier 8 alchemist. How could they obtain such an outstanding result?